We are live. Okay, so someone requested that I end up watching and reacting to the death battle of Dark Souls versus Skyrim. It's Dovahkiin, I think, is the main character's name. I think it's Dovahkiin for Skyrim versus the Chosen Undead. So G1 blog, as per usual, released their own discussion about the situation, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to look it over, see what's the information going on, because I know very little, if anything, about Skyrim. All I know is everyone just tells me it's like 1A at its highest level, the 1A crabs and the like. That's what I'm used to. So I thought it'd be fun to check out G1 blog to see what it's like from the perspective of not having to a massive amount of knowledge in this fight. I'm joined by Cyber. Hello, Cyber.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I thought you were going to check this one. I wasn't, but I was asked to. So, I know nothing about the Dragonborn, so I hope you do have some cursory knowledge of that situation.
I have to some degree. I had to help on the Elder Scrolls section for a bit. Yeah.
Good, because I know fucking nothing about this guy. Alright, so before we start, since both characters have an extensive list of weapons and armor, a brief description of each weapon and type will be given in each section, and a link will be placed to wiki pages listing them all to avoid cluttering up this blog. Alright?
Wikis, wikis this time are a godsend. um,
Are you saying the wiki, at least for weapons, they were accurate?
not so much. Okay. So what I mean in this regard is basically just like like the weapons descriptions. We basically didn't list every weapon. We listed like the most important weapons they have. Goodness, like I don't think we even covered like a generic iron dagger, for example, for like the
For either of them?
Dragonborn. It
Yeah,
was
that.
just more like
I'll go on.
special ones. Um, but yeah, it's most of their weapons, just the most important stuff.
Yeah, so I have not seen this beyond just I think I scrolled down past the last Dragonborn the first time I saw it because I was at work. But I'm just going to assume we're just talking like boss weapons for the Chosen Undead and like I don't know, Skyrim Eldar, I don't know, fucking
Well,
Daedric
they
Prince
have enough
weapons.
weapons here that it's a laundry list, but it's a lot. The Dragonborn can get quest weapons, can get weapons from the Daedric princes or items. Um, there's a lot. There's enchanted items. It's just we chose the best of the best to give, and even with that in mind, it still ended up being a laundry list. We don't have to cover every single last one, but
Yeah.
I'll leave that up to your discretion.
Yeah, no. When it comes to weapons, I might ask. Well, we'll see if there's any notable ones that stand out. But like, I don't think we need to cover the Dark Souls weapons. I think we're all familiar with Dark Souls. It's been a really long time since I played Skyrim Night Slayer. I see. Yeah, I could never beat Skyrim. I thought the game was something. But alright, so let's look at the experience and skill. Now, this one I'm interested in because I would be under the impression the Chosen Undead is more skilled or has at least more experience than the Dovahkiin, but maybe that's my bias coming through with Skyrim's gameplay.
Depends. Do you just simply want to read the sections, or do you want me to just go over it?
Do you want to go over it or do you want me to read it? Because if you have your own comments about it, I mean, you worked at
I
least
mean, you
this
you
one.
can read it if you want, and then I can give a comment. I'll
Uh,
just let you read as much as you want. They aren't long. In fact, I'd say they're the some of the shorter sections of. Oh, and there's absolutely a quote you have to read here from the last Dragonborn. I don't care if you don't know anything about Skyrim. Maybe some of your viewers do, and the quote might seem like a low blow.
I'll see. All right. The Chosen Undead's list of accomplishments are nearly as long as the list of requirements needed to link the flame. Just kill 5 guys, get the Lord Vessel. That's only 2 things. They have matched blades with legendary knights such as the Silver and Black Knights. These warriors participated in multiple campaigns against the ancient dragons. The Chosen Undead reached their peak of skill while fighting Gwyn, the king of gods of Anor Londo, defeating him in single combat. Okay, so we're just going to assume that Solaire was not summoned for this circumstance.
I mean, you can argue Solaire was summoned, but he's not necessarily canon. There's actually a quote from Miyazaki, basically that like if you do everything correctly for Solaire's like overall storyline, Solaire goes on to link the first flame of his own world, but that doesn't inherently mean that like Solaire's inclusion there is necessarily canon.
Zenith of Greed. Have fun with the Elder Scrolls Cosmology. Lamau. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm getting into with Elder Scrolls.
Oh, Zenith is watching? I had no idea.
Whoever that is. Apparently Cyber knows you. Alright, so they were able to defeat Artorias, one of the most skilled knights in existence. Artorias, being the strongest of Gwyn's knights, slew dragons with little effort. Chosen Undead was able to defeat him in a duel before then going on to defeat the one who destroyed the Great Knight's mind in the form of Manus. I will say, I don't know how fair this is because by the time you meet Artorias, he's basically gone mad. I think
There is a workaround. There is a workaround. It's mentioned later on. It's not necessarily that important for this section, but it will be covered later. But if you want me to just tell you outright right now, it's so when you get a soul from someone, the compendium for Dark Souls gives off an impression that the compendium is like a lore book that collects all three and works off dialogue directly in the games. It is official material, so it's viable to use, and eventually points that like acquiring souls gives you like special abilities and possibly even experience off of the souls. An example of this being done on screen would be Smo and I might have mispronounced that, and Ornstein.
Yeah.
If you kill Ornstein first, it results in Smo cruelly finishing the job and absorbing Ornstein's soul, which grants electricity powers that Smo did not have prior. So it's there's also Dark Souls 3 with like getting skills from souls, so it's not inherently like incorrect. The argument we went with was basically that you could argue to an extent that acquiring Artorias' soul could grant like the skill from it. It's not inherently confirmed, but it is a decent enough argument, I feel, especially with everything else I just mentioned.
Yeah. My only issue with that one, at least for the evidence you provided, is that I'm not too sure about this because I've heard conflicting things, but if I recall correctly, what's his name? Ornstein isn't there in Anor Londo. That's an illusion you fight, isn't it?
It's kind of weird because like Smoke still gains electricity powers. There's a statement in the second game guide, something about the old Dragon Slayer in 2 being something related to like an Ornstein from a different time. It's really weird. I'm not sure if it's inherently supported in game, but it is worth mentioning.
All right, so we have Yahi Artorias in the weakened state while going mad. Artorias had a broken arm. Cyber
Was I
Oh yeah,
was I disconnected?
yeah, you cut out for a second there. I thought you were done.
I apologize. I was sent to another time. It seems. No, I was just saying that like a second game guide kind of implies that like old Dragon Slayer is like an alternate version of Ornstein but it's not really outright confirmed.
All right. So Cyber recovered from the bleach cosmology, only to jump into this. Apparently, Zenith agreed. Apparently, I guess he's just a masochist.
Somehow, Elder Scrolls Cosmology does not do me that much harm. It's weird.
Lies. So there's a question for you actually. Cyber, didn't Alduin's death shock all eras? Whatever the fuck that means.
That is kind of stated. It's more like it's stated for being sent across, like with the Elder Scroll, if I'm not mistaken. I do recall this quote to an extent. I'm not sure you'd be able to slap on an AP value to it,
Right.
but it's not. There is a lot about Alduin in this blog, because Alduin is the most popular method of scaling
scaling.
the Dragonborn in general.
That makes sense.
Something that needs to be talked about regardless.
Oof. Well, I guess we'll get to that when we get to it. So let's finish this off. The strategy chosen to utilize is one of patience and learning. They generally recognize the motions and tactics of their enemy and work through trial and error to determine the best way to duck and weave through all manner of attacks. Alright, so just building up strategy through repeated deaths. There can be many different classes, all of which have some implied degree of training. The warrior is a weapons expert, the sorcerer study at Veenheim Dragon School, and the clerk study for their pilgrimage. All classes have their own set of skills, and the Chosen Undead uses these with deadly precision. So we're just going to composite the classes for this one.
Yeah, that was kind of what we aim to go for with this. It's not necessarily compositing them. It's saying that like everyone except maybe like I believe it was the Decrepit. I might be misremembering what the exact name of the class is. There's one class specifically that has no training whatsoever. but it's kind of a it should be fine with the other ones that basically they do have like an implication
That's fine.
that
That's
yeah,
fine.
there's some degree of that.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so wait, question: does Death Battle also take feats from the other Dark Souls games or contributing to the Chosen Undead? We don't know that yet, but did G1 do
We
that?
don't know for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if it occurs. It's not a thing that only this blog does. There's really no reason that the Chosen Undead can't scale to say like speed feats from Dark Souls 3. At least early game speed feats should be fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say because like they all link the same flame. There's a discussion about this. Who's this? Oh, this is Cyber. He pops up every now and again. Let's see
Uh,
here. Dragons, because you're talking about the. I'm reading the Dovahkiin's or Dragonborn's skills. If you want to say something, go ahead. I want to read this dragon part. These same dragons have been alive for millennia, slaughtering mortals and bringing about destruction. Fire-breathing dragons, undead dragons, and even Alduin, the devourer of the world and the master of the Dove himself. Is is that a real thing? The Dove?
Dove is just like the abbreviation for dragon. Dovahkiin is like the title, another title given for the Dragonborn.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying like, so is Dove like dragon or like does Dove mean something? All right, they even fought and defeated Mirak, the first recorded Dragonborn in Skyrim's history. Yeah, that's the guy I assumed is what let him scale to full power Alduin. Dova means dragon. Okay, yeah, so
He's the final boss of the basically the final DLC for Skyrim.
yeah. But of course, they couldn't defeat the literal world eater by just wildly swinging their fists. Swords. The Dovahkiin is a master with a blade and is proficient with a large variety of spells. They are also a guru with elixirs and poisons, and the one and only master of stealth archery. You know, I'm not seeing enchantments here, Cyber. Where's my 300% physical damage reduction enchantments?
You'll get there.
From daggers to maces to warhammers, they can reduce a house to ground zero. If it's in the Dragonborn's hands, it's unstoppable. Humiliating entire battalions, picking the most impossible lock, trekking the highest mountain as if it were a mere pebble. There's nothing the Dragonborn can't do. So, a little briefly on this one, just a little comment here, not specifically about this blog, but when you're doing RPG characters, you always have to make a decision. Do you just like give them 100% completion, or you just give them campaign stuff? But you really can't do that for Skyrim because Skyrim has like no direct narrative to really focus on.
It doesn't have a narrative per se, but there's implications. I mean, like story quest, you obviously would include that, right? There is
Yeah.
a main story in Skyrim, but it's kind of the same with like how it would be established with like the hero Kavach or other ones. You just give them everything. Like implication would be yeah, they end up becoming the like champion of the Daedra. Like the blog will go into this later, but the hero of Kavach or the Dragonborn or any other protagonist usually will fall under a category called the prisoner, just kind of like this metaphysical role that they all fill, and it comes with a lot of benefits, and it comes with a lot of narrative implications. And one of them would be that like it'd be fine to give all gear.
All right. Sounds like Dragon's Dogma, but okay.
Oh, the irony, the irony! You'll see at the very end of the blog why I said that.
The Dovahkiin also ends up surpassing all the Nordic heroes of old, including the likes of I can't pronounce that, and the Nords who were able to engage Vivek and Nervar. Vivek?
Vivek would be the way to say that one.
No, I say it the way it's meant to be. You all say it wrong. The former what?
Funny thing about Vivek, you can make the argument Vivek is technically, I mean, by writing standards, is both genders.
What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Thank you for the comment. Thank you for the I guess the trivia of the day. I'll put that on my like new fact of the day calendar. The former of which having been taught by I can't pronounce that, and his barons who know every martial technique and recorded history in the future. And the future. All right, that's pretty spicy. Weapons. It's in there, the prisoner stuff. About to ask about the prisoner's metaphysical stuff. Okay, so apparently we're going to get to the prisoner stuff. Does...
On the blog?
Yeah, so I'm on the daggers, but I'm reading the Ghost Blade. Intangible ghost? You mean just spiritual interaction?
Which one?
Uh,
On the daggers?
yeah, for the Ghost
So
Blade.
you're talking about Dark Souls, right?
Yeah, Dark Souls. The first, I was just
Yeah.
going.
So are you aware of Curse?
Yeah, Cyber. When I played Dark Souls 1, my main weapon was the Cursed Sword of Artorias, specifically to kill those ghosts. I assure you, I know what Curse does. That's why, is there a statement confirming it hits intangibility? I just took that as soul manipulation.
It's kind of a. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's a statement for one of the descriptions that's what it does. Which blade do you want me to look up specifically right now? What's it called?
The Ghost Blade, apparently.
Blade. Sure. One second.
Making one morally wrong for acquiring it? No, I needed Priscilla's dagger on my wall. She was in my way. This was perfect.
You killed Priscilla? You bastard!
Cyber, I don't know if you've been here for my Dark Souls rants, but you know how Sif limps around the battlefield and it's supposed to be really
And
sad?
now here it says, the ghosts of New Londo clutch this wickedly sharp dagger with their bony hands and make mincemeat of the living. One of the cursed weapons which can inflict damage upon ghosts.
Yeah, so I understand that I don't know, it's fine, it's not a big deal. I would just say that I would have taken that more as spirit interaction or spirit manipulation. I don't know how you want to call it. I just think saying, because when you say intangible, it kind of implies it would hit other intangible things.
Normally in Dark, correct me if I'm wrong, you can't because the reason we go with intangible is that there's certain weapons, if you grab the generic weapon and try to use it straight up on basically a ghost,
it won't work.
In Dark Souls it wouldn't work. So I would attribute that to some degree of intangibility. It just there are other fictional properties that would have a ghost, but then
yeah,
they're pretty much ghost in name only. You could physically interact with them. I can't think of the top of my head, but I recall there's maybe later recall to me there's an example of something being called a ghost and it's not really a ghost.
Yeah. All right,
continue.
That's fine. Yeah. Yes, and then Priscilla's dagger, life-draining power that the gods themselves feared. Within a few hits, a bleed effect drains half target's health to a set amount. Yep, worth it. But she also makes scythe, if I remember correctly. I believe you can get a scythe from her as well.
That'll be detailed in its own section.
All right. I don't know if you didn't know, Zim, but if the stat is cursed on you, Dark Souls, when you kill ghosts because it counts as cursed. Yeah, but see, I wanted to make Sif suffer, and once I was done making him suffer,
Wait,
I took his soul.
You wanted to make Sif?
Dude, you misunderstand. When he was limping, I was cheering. I stayed there for a good 30 minutes watching him flail around trying to hit me. I was enjoying that. Fuck Sif. I fucking hate Sif.
What is wrong with you? Why?
You should have been here one day because I was there on stream I was talking to Mangler and I'm like, Mangler, I want to play Dark Souls 1's DLC just so I can find Sif and not save him. I want him to see me turn around and walk away, leaving him in the abyss. And listen,
my friend, are
me and Sif,
the epitome of evil.
Me and Sif don't get along, bro. It took me 24 hours to beat Sif. I got a bunch of energy drinks and 24 hours of non-stop grinding and fighting Sif. I fucking hate Sif. That's a full. My first Dark Souls once. My first. I can't explain to you. I can't explain to you. I beat Smog and Ornstein on my first try. Everything else first try. I could not beat Sif. Something about his pattern just fucking blinked out in my head. I don't understand it. I got so fucking strong that I literally could tank Smog and Ornstein without dodging and kill them on my first try. They couldn't kill me.
I'm looking up a list by several people. It's just kind of hardest bosses in Dark.
Don't look it up, please.
And if I see Sif,
it's not there. Don't look it up. Listen.
Sif is not anywhere near the top.
Oh, hang on. Curse crit server.
What the hell?
Bro.
What the hell's him?
Well, so I always have this bad habit of playing Dark Souls wrong. Specifically because of the fact I go in the wrong direction, so I don't think I was at the right level when I was supposed to fight Sif. Because I actually, when I first played Dark Souls, I was stuck for a day after Sif because I didn't realize Undeadburg existed. You know, that whole place where you fight the Gaping Dragon and shit? I didn't realize that was there. I had to look up a walkthrough and find out I missed half the fucking game.
I won't judge you for that. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. All right. So let's go through here. Abyss Great Sword, great sword. Black Knight Sword, overrated. Curse Great Sword, Victorious, favorite sword. Love that sword. Best sword in the game. Moonlight Grave Sword. All right. Let's see what you got here. A magical blade carved from the tail of Seat the Scaleless, and then Sif became a Pokemon. Yeah. A is imbued with his magic, which is capable of releasing waves of arcane energy and unmaking one's consciousness. I think I remember reading that once way back in the day, but because I never went back to scale Dark Souls, I didn't care for it. But that's actually pretty spicy. But you need magic. Well, yeah, we're compositing this guy. Also, hello guys.
So, the the Moonlight Sword, at least in the blog, is more so its depiction in DS1.
Yes.
And we are, in fact, compositing. I should mention, this is using the comics, the games, and game guide / the compendium. I wish we had time to get down and look at the board game, because its first page was fascinating, but it's on its rule book is on Scribd, and you have to make an account and whatnot. And it was just, I was not going to pay money to get access to a board game. I mean, in all fairness, while the first page of the board game rulebook was fascinating, it was also heavily contradictory. Like outright contradicts one of the more important lines in the first game about Gwyn. So yeah, it's doesn't hurt. It doesn't necessarily hurt the blog by not including it.
I hate babyface him. I'm sorry, Dark Lord. Sif is easier than the Asylum Demon. Fuck you. The Drake Sword is my favorite. I could never get the Drake Sword, like, useful. Let's see here. Ultra Great Swords. Dragon Great Sword. Never got that. Wait, is that it? Is that it for unique Ultra Great Swords? Just the Dragon Great Sword? What about Gwyn's, like... Doesn't Gwyn have a fucking Ultra Great Sword?
You can get... Let me double check. Does it even have any effects? One sec. Like I said, select items. We did. Not every single one. Otherwise, we'd be here double the time.
Yeah. All right. So I'll move on forward, and you can tell me if there's anything useful there. Another Jagged Ghost Blade. Quailog's Fury Sword.
Gwyn's drop is his soul, but I think you can get his let's see. Be forged with the Great Lord. Yeah, the Great Lord Great Sword. Great Sword. As the bearer of the ultimate soul, wields. Probably should have included that one, I guess. My apologies, but it doesn't seem to add more like effects, but its description is kind of interesting. I think we may have brought up its description later on in regards to other things, not necessarily the usage of the blade itself. More so Gwyn scaling for later on.
Fair enough. All right. Say a lot of these aren't really necessary to talk about. Thankfully, some of these, like a lot of these, are just kind of like just honest. Dark Hand. Oh, you guys included Dark Hand, really?
Dark Hand is one of the more fascinating things I feel about his basically what he has.
Yes. All right. Never played a Souls game. Honestly, that's probably for the best. Souls games are hit or miss.
Dark Hand, I should add. It's not labeled here, but it was fit. I looked it up. Basically, with the Covenant, if you like max out with them, it increases the amount of humanity the Dark Hand can take. So that's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I used the Dark Hand just to look cool when I grabbed it. Fuck those guys who used it though. All right, so bows, Dark Moon bow. Yeah, all right. There's nothing really to discuss here. Pyromancy flames. Back when Dark Souls was so simple. We're giving them multiple shields now too? Okay. Crystal Ring Shield. Yeah, alright. Heather Shield, Tower Kite Shield, Black Knight Shield. Oh, there it is. I was like, where's the Grass Shield at?
You skipped the bows?
Yeah, I skipped the bows. Was there something important in the bows?
Oh, not necessarily.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the thing is, like, I know that a lot of these weapons specifically, like, they might have one unique passive or otherwise, but, like, I'm assuming Skyrim also has a lot of weapons coming up.
It does.
So, like, yeah,
I really like the design of the Havel's Great Shield.
Oh, yeah. Havel's entire armor set was just very well designed. The rugged feel of it was just great. Although, fuck Havel. He literally waits for you at the door and slams down on you.
I hate the design. Like, Gwyn set. Kind of cool, like the Great Lord armor, but
The image even on the blog, that kind of looks lame.
Yeah, Gwyn's one of those characters who unfortunately is just by the time you get to him, there's nothing really cool to see. Like honestly, the Dark Knights or the Elite Knight set looks better than Gwyn. It's probably why they went with it for the Soul of Cinder in Dark Souls 3. Whoever took this picture looks ridiculous. Gwendolyn, Havel, yeah, look at that fucking sexy beast. Iron Golem set, Solar set, Lord Blade set. Ornstein. Oh yeah, we actually had a debate the other day on the server because I was telling a bunch of people that Ornstein's armor was gold because it looks gold in the area, but apparently no, it is silver.
Hey, you had to debate on what it was made of?
Well, I was the one saying it was gold, so yeah. Well, no, not what it was made of, what color it was, and apparently, yeah, it's silver. Fuck Dark Souls. It doesn't look silver. Fuck you guys. Havel's armor is the best. It is. Yeah, so the rings are just generic resistance and generic increases. This is one of the issues you have when you're compositing a character is like, I mean, especially with the rings, you can only have so many rings on you at one time in the game, and even in real life, you can only put on so many rings.
Yeah, but the compiling of okay. Disregarding your opinions on the Kratos blog, do you remember the amount of items labeled?
Yes, I remember quite a bit. Yes.
That's the problem with like RPG characters.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things on there. Too bad Havel's the weakest Dragon Slayer in the series, whereas Mangler asleep. Yeah, no, because like look at all this shit we're giving the Chosen Undead. They referenced Giant Dad in the CU rundown. Did they? Yeah, because I understand for like consistency's sake, but I guarantee you half of this shit means literally nothing in this matchup. All right, daggers.
Well, I'm not arguing otherwise. I'm just saying it's basically it's good to just label everything when it's available.
Yes.
Maybe in the course of discussion, you might end up discovering, oh, I thought this was useless, but turns out it might have some use. So it's good to label them all.
Fair enough. All right, let's take a look at the Mehrunes Razor, a Daedric artifact. So just clicks her dagger final wounds when wielded by a champion anointed by Dagon himself. The blade can instantly slay its target. Really?
I'm surprised you skipped humanity and the Estus Flask.
Well, because so I don't know how they're gonna do this in like death battles, like actual animation. But I would find it incredibly ridiculous if the Chosen Undead gets a single chance to use the Estus Flask. But let me take a look at what you got for humanity here.
Well, the preview's out for the.
Yeah, I saw he rolls around a little bit.
I like that. It kind of emulates the. I've seen some people say it's clunky, but I think that's kind of the point. It's meant to like emulate kind of like how they would actually fight, or at least how they're shown to fight. Anyway, you said that you're on Mehrunes Dagger.
Well, hang on. I went back.
Mehrunes Razor.
I was right there, but I went back to humanity real quickly because let me see what you put here. Nebulous sprites. It's a 5 most description, to which lore is somewhat vague. These sprites can be crushed for opponent heal and gaining 1 humanity. Not this item, but the counter to how much humanity the Chosen Undead has. Yeah, no, humanity.
There'll be another breakdown on humanity later on for abilities that'll be more in depth.
You sure about that, Zim? You sure Chosen Undead can't wear all the rings? Well, I mean, like, yeah, he could probably stab them into himself. I'm just saying that, like, that's.
Oh gosh.
Guy's gonna come out looking like someone from fucking Hellraiser. Okay.
You want to look into the Razor because it's actually kind of important.
Yeah, because that's why I assume I'm probably only gonna stop for Daedric artifacts or like something that's directly related to a dragon. Just sweating orange juice. When wielded by a champion, anointed by Dagon himself, yeah, instantly kills its target, which is very silly. Is that actually in game, or is that just like a lore?
That is in game, but it's kind of like in gameplay that it doesn't inherently mean it'll happen all the time.
Wouldn't the Dawnbreaker do really good against the Chosen Undead? I'm assuming the Dawnbreaker.
We'll get to the Dawnbreaker. We'll get to the Dawnbreaker.
I'll be sure to read that. It belongs as empowered by Mehrunes Dagon, one of the 17 Daedric princes. It is said that those who are instantly killed by the effects of this blade will have their souls claimed by Dagon himself and sent to his plane of oblivion. Oh yeah, so this is, I'm assuming, one of the potential win cons that are going to be argued for.
Not necessarily that feature of the blade.
Really?
Continue on.
All right. The blade's cutting ability is so powerful that it can slice one's protonymic,
Mimic.
the true
Protonymic.
name and the definition of the self, which grants a being their role and place within nature.
So think
Where
of it
did,
as coding your concept or your very essence.
yeah, like that's fine, but where the fuck is this dagger? I didn't find shit like this in my run of Skyrim. With
Again,
the,
it's an optional quest.
of course it fucking is. Um, with the razor, Mancor Chimera sliced his own concept of self in order to alter his race to that of an Altmere Dragonborn. He also altered his daughter's history, making her a follower of his cult, and having her paradoxically giving birth to herself and her own brother, who is somehow not her son, with her father as the father. Are you telling me he really just like did all this to bang his daughter? I know people in fucking
Mankar
Kansas.
is a horrible person. I don't think that was the intention at all. But Mankar is like noted to have like really contradictory, like a backstory, and then the basically we end up getting told, yeah, no, the reason that occurred is that he cut his own protonymic, therefore basically kind of retconning his own existence.
Bro, that's a lot of steps to fuck your own daughter. I'm just saying.
I mean, we're talking about a world where
Cyber,
a lot of
Cyber. There's no way to spin this, bro. He literally just fucked his own daughter. Game of Thrones did this a lot easier. All right,
I did not expect you to view it that way.
Alexander flashbacks. Wonder if we'll get a Rin. Shut up, Kyle. Dagger gifted by Dragonborn. Oh, that's not important. That's just a lucky dagger. All right, we're on the one-handed swords. Blood scythe. Lobjack is the true and only win condition here. Yeah, no, but that blade. Wait, that's Cypher with you? No, Cyber, not Cypher. No, but that dagger's already pretty fucking nutty. I knew Oblivion's human cultist was evil, but goddamn. Are the Daedric princes being scaled to high 1B? I guess I'll ask because we haven't got there
We'll
yet.
talk about Daedric Prince scaling later on. We're doing weapons right now.
No, this is Soul Render. I'll say he said.
Although you're about to get to Dawnbreaker, and we might have to talk about something because Elder Scrolls Online is addicted to making certain Daedric artifacts and Daedric princes more OP than they were originally thought to be. So, have you made it to the Dawnbreaker?
Yeah. So I'm just looking through these other two real quickly because I love how all of Skyrim's swords look like fucking paddles. I'm looking at Chill Rend right now, but we can get the Dawnbreaker.
Soul Render and Blood Scythe have pretty much the same design. There's also one other sword that'll have this exact same design.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. All right, so let's take a look at this Dawnbreaker. A Daedric artifact gifted by, I can't pronounce that, the Daedric Prince of Light and Eardrum Destroying. Is that actually real, or is there like a loud sound?
No, it's a joke. There's like a sound that plays with Meridia sometimes that like this like
Just like fucking massive, like boom.
yeah, continue.
This blade deals burning damage. After killing undead enemies, it has a chance to create a fiery explosion, which will either destroy or make other undead flee. This powerful weapon was used in the past when Nocturnal was invading the Crystal Tower with her influence and assimilating it into her being, with the intention of becoming omnipresent, infinite across the Arbis. Alright. By wielding Dawnbreaker, the Vestige expelled Nocturnal and purged her corruption from the heart of transparent law. What the fuck?
There's a lot of words there you probably don't understand.
Yeah.
This was a late game find, and I feel it's really stupid because it's so Nocturnal is associated with the Thieves Guild. Did you at least get to the Thieves Guild?
Yeah, I believe so. Or is it the Thieves Guild or the Black Hand Guild? Which is the one that kidnaps you and puts you into a fucking shack while you're like naked?
The Dark Brotherhood?
Oh yeah, them. Yeah, so I guess I don't know who the Thieves Guild is. Go on.
Oh, you didn't get into the Thieves Guild. So Nocturnal is a Daedric prince, and what Nocturnal does in online is a bit insane. There's this. Okay, so towers we'll go over later, but towers are like physical locations, and also like people. They can be several different things, but the most popular ones are like physical location. And think of them as like linchpins. If you destroy them or deactivate them, it can affect like. Oh gosh, we have to talk about cosmology for that. Okay, Mundus is like the lowest part of the cosmology. Think of it as like a multiverse.
Alright.
It holds within it 9 not really planets, but we'll just say they are because that's what they appear to be, at least if you look in the night sky.
All right.
There's 9 planets that are infinite in size. It's just the mortal mind in Elder Scrolls cannot comprehend what infinity is. So, as like a defense mechanism, the mind tricks itself and views them as planets rather than viewing them as true infinity, which would just flay the mind, which is something also brought up later on in online. But anyway, to get to the point, Nocturnal was going to become like he was going to basically like it's not exactly this, but have you ever heard of the term? I might mispronounce it. Kim. You couldn't
Kim?
pronounce it Kim or Chim.
I think I've heard Neo say it once, but
Is
that
a extremely powerful state. Calling it a state though is a little of a misnomer. It's just a really potent thing that someone can achieve under specific circumstances. And Nocturnal here in online was going to kind of artificially reach that, like the first day of Daedric Prince to ever reach such a thing. Um, Artificially,
oh
it kind of
yeah, you mean CHIM, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, yes. I think Hasai mentioned it earlier. He was asking if the not girl, not boy character was a chim at the time or whatever.
Vivek, I do not recall if it was or not. I do recall that in online, the equivalent of what Nocturnal would be doing here is something like that. It is not good for the multiverse for anything. Like Sothasil warns, no, if Nocturnal completes what's about to do, which is mantle the Crystal Tower
Yeah.
and corrupt it, checkmate. Nocturnal is about to become the most powerful Daedric prince ever. Probably assimilate all the other realms of Oblivion, and who knows what the heck is going to occur. So what ends up happening is the Dawnbreaker at normal levels of power, just normal. It's not even like amped. It was literally like just corrupted, and it like gets restored to its normal level of power. Vestige uses it to, which is the playable character of that game,
Yeah.
to separate Nocturnal's corruption from the tower, and you can even harm Nocturnal in the boss fight. You can actually do damage to Nocturnal's health bar. That is insane. The implication is it's definitively Nocturnal, as in like Nocturnal at peak power, beyond peak power, because Nocturnal says that was the assimilation was almost done. When you finally separate Nocturnal, like the assimilation was, it's hard to put a percent. There is no percent, but
Yeah.
I'd just say it's
So
like
he was
99.
close to being done.
Nocturnal was. It's weird to say but like yeah, Nocturnal was almost done. So it's like this makes the blade really powerful. You can maybe spin it as like it's just part of its properties of removing like corruption, since it's also super effective against the undead. We're talking about corruption on a level. I mean, if you want to slap on a rating, I mean, be my guest, say outer or whatever. It's like even the lowest of low balls, the extent Nocturnal was about to become is insane. Um, there's no sugarcoating it. That makes Dawnbreaker's like properties against corruption like really potent. Um, it was brought up that maybe it could be useful against undead, but the thing is, we kind of feel that like undead between how they're depicted in Skyrim and like in Dark Souls are vastly different.
I was
Like
I was gonna say I feel like this would only really well. This depends on what you want to argue for humanity being corrupted, because I feel like this, based on what this weapon
I feel
does.
it's like
Oh,
too different to apply versus equalization here.
yeah.
I think you could potentially argue something with Dawnbreaker that'll come up in the verdicts, at least for Team Dragonborn. That's very interesting and applies more so than a Nocturnal argument, and not so much its automatic advantage
Well,
against the undead.
if this can purge corruption, that theoretically should cut the humanity from the fire, so that should shut off his respawns, because fire basically is a corruption of humanity. I think Mangler mentioned that
There is
earlier.
something I can't remember if it's exactly that. It's a similar type argument. It'll take a while to get a verdict unless you end up skipping quite a stuff. But it's something like that is attempted later on. But I'm just saying that it's Dawnbreaker being this OP because of online is something I never expected.
Did you guys actually play online, or did you guys just fucking look
We
up?
looked up. We looked up. Some people did play online, to my understanding, possibly, but specifically for this one, it was footage because I wasn't even aware it was a thing. I got told, "Hey, someone posted somewhere that like this blade is really OP," and I'm like, "Okay, I mean it's a Daedric weapon, sure." Does some research, finds out online massively buffed it. I'm like, "What the hell?"
This was 300 pages, by the way.
It's not even amped. It wasn't even amped. It was at its normal levels of power.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But no, yeah,
Oh yeah, there is also a Ghost Blade in the Skyrim, by the way.
yeah, I saw that. Cyber, you telling me what Vivek and Molag Bal did? Are you telling what Vivek and Molag Bal did? Do I
Oh, I haven't
do I want to know?
covered that. I'm
Okay.
covering events and online.
This horrific monstrosity, the mace for Molag Bal.
Where are you right now?
I'm currently on Molag Bal. I'll be honest, I'm kind of skipping a lot of the weapons, just go to the Daedric ones. 'Cause I
Oh,
feel
you
like,
got all the way down to Molag Bal. Okay.
yeah, because I
Go ahead and read if you want. It's not. We really didn't expand too much on this one.
All right, so just soul trap, taking their soul once killed. Yeah, so this is actually a little interesting because there's a lot of soul manipulation from all these weapons that I feel like you could.
Honest, the mace probably also has buffs that it got from online because Molag Bal was the first big bad of online, and
Boom.
but that was more so in his own hands. So it's kind of hard to say that.
If it's not just
If
wait,
Dragon.
is this their weapon? Like
Molag
is the
Bal-
artifact you get from the Daedric Prince their weapon?
It can at least be like related to them. But Molag Bal in his boss fight, if I recall, does in fact use his mace.
They cut down Barbarous one strike. It was given to our hero after he kills Clevik's dog, Barbarous.
Where are you right now?
I'm currently on the Rueful Axe. Because I feel like Cosmology is going to be taking up a lot of the time, so if these weapons ain't Daedric...
Technology, it was 33 pages.
I'm just saying this right
Just
now.
for-
If I'm not seeing Daedric in the
Not
name...
Dark Souls, for Elder Scrolls, not Dark Souls. Dark Souls should never be that long.
You're not wrong. This hammer is not only a fast swinger in the regular Warhammer, but also absorbs mass amount of stat from enemies. It can near paralyze enemies in other games, as it does. Very nice. Yeah,
Well, you
no.
might want to...
What?
Ariel's bow will be very important later on.
Alright, I'll read this. This is an artifact found in Ariel's temple in the Forgotten Vale. This bow is said to have been carried by Ariel in the battle against Lorkhan during the, I can't pronounce that, wars in the Dawn era. This bow deals sun damage and undead enemies take triple damage. Wow, all this undead hatred. What is this? This bow deals, let's see, this bow can be used with sun hallowed and blood cursed elven arrows to be shot at the sun to either fire down beams of sunlight or block out the sun entirely. What the fuck?
So, it was meant to be used by, like, vampires in a certain prophecy. It's kind of like an FU to Ariel. And the idea was to basically corrupt the arrows.
Oh, darn.
And if you use the blood cursed, what ends up occurring is when it attacks the sun, quotation marks, we'll talk about that later. It basically creates like this darkness effect that ends up covering all of like Skyrim and beyond, and you can turn into a vampire, basically even if it was quote unquote daytime and without any ill effects.
Don't you get sexually assaulted if you're a female to become a vampire?
What? Oh, Molag Bal lore. We don't talk about that. Molag Bal. All you need to know is that he's the king of rape, and we don't need to talk
Hey,
about.
Kyle, we got the Rin reference.
Oh, Molag Bal, by the way, would probably be a good matchup for like Diablo. Diablo.
Okay, so I have my own issues with Diablo because I played Diablo 3, but I did not like that climax. That just seems silly to me.
I heard that people in general did not like 3's base game at all.
Well, the game was fine. Like, it was my first Diablo game, to be fair. It was fine. It's just that, like, I found it super fucking stupid that Diablo was stronger than all the angels combined. It's all like, I get you absorb the sins, but, like, could you, like, maybe chill the fuck out? Anyways, let's see here. Are there any... Oh, here we go. This is a unique staff given to Dragonborn by Sanguine, the Daedric Prince of Debauchery. This rose can be used... Oh.
Go ahead.
This rose can be used to summon a Dreamora warrior. In lore, the staff has a limit to its usage. Each time it is used, it will wilt away until it loses its powers. Then a new sanguine rose will grow into oblivion and will be plucked by sanguine to give to another person. Who knew the
Might
god?
want to also read the Wabbajack.
The Wabbajack? What the fuck is a Wabbajack?
It's right below.
Okay, let's take a look at this. Wabbajack. A Daedric artifact that once belonged to Shuragorad. It was given to the Dragonborn as a token of his. He just gave him the damn thing. It can do literally any... What? Okay.
Just keep reading.
It can do literally anything. Only flaws that the results are completely random. Creating magic explosions, destroying enemies, turning them into crabs, chickens, rabbits, Jamora, cheese, sweet... Okay, this can also give the target a positive effect like healing invisibility for the proof of Shuragorad being the best Daedric prince.
Well, the Wabbajack is literally just random bullshit. Go.
Yeah, it sounds about fucking... That sounds pretty silly, actually. That sounds like a lot of fun.
So one of the arguments was maybe the Wabbajack could transmute the chosen undead into something, or at least I've seen that as a popular argument amongst the community. I have zero opinion on it, or at least it will be addressed later on.
Alright, so... He said the Staff of Magnus is important, so let me take a look.
The Staff of Magnus is kind of important, more so for scaling. We'll get there later.
Alright, then we'll move on for now. Shields. I'll be honest, for...
I can't remember if any of these were truly necessary. I mean, the Spellbreaker is,
Which one?
Didn't just
right there, okay.
come to the realization just how broken this is. Huh.
The Spellbreaker... Oh, you were gonna say it?
The shield creates an aura that renders its wielder invulnerable to magic, as it has the ability to reflect spells and silence enemy casters.
Counterpoint, what if I have a magic character who's able to perform magic even while being silenced?
I have to double check the effects of the Spellbreaker. It's been a while since I've played Skyrim.
Well, hang on, you might need to grab it online.
Well, you might want to check the other weapons, what starts it off.
Okay, so do you mean for the forks or do you mean for the...
Fork. Yep, just for the laughs.
Alright, let me see this. The fork. A two-pronged dinner fork, great for exacting vengeance on Nazim. It can be enchanted in various ways. Wait. Are you talking about an actual fucking fork?
You can enchant forks and knives, yes.
What?
You could be a dick, kill someone, take their soul, put it in a soul gem, and then later enchant it and basically have that soul be used to enchant a fork.
See, I needed, whose weapons are these? These are for the Dragonborns. See, I needed to really feel despair in my kitchen knife as I cut my meat. So I took my best friend's wife, killed her, put it into the knife, watched him do it, killed him, took his soul and put him into another knife, and now he watches me use his wife to cut the vegetables, and I use him to cut the meat. And it comes out just a perfect amount of despair.
You are truly evil.
I am wholesome and innocent. Basically. Yep, this man's got the right idea. Ancient Shrouded Armor, Dragon Guard Armor, Ren. No, bad Kyle. Deathbrand Armor, Guildmaster's Armor. What the fuck? It's a glow stick, alright? A unique set worn by the first Dragonborn known as Mirak. Mirak means Allegiance Guide in whatever the fuck that is. Ironic. Do any of these absorb some magic from spells and Dragon Breath? Alright, that's pretty good. Has more magic absorption, and massive increase to magic, alright. Oh, is this Daedric? Oh, the Avid Followers Nocturnal, Daedric Prince of Night and Darkness. Alright, let's see this. Let's see what this does. Wow, these all suck. Illusion spells cost less magic to cast. It's pretty good. Unique light armor headgear.
Okay, so these are from the Dragon Priest. Some of them might be more useful than others. My favorite is the one that you have to time travel get. It's not on this section. It'll be later on.
This motherfucker time travels? Oh, is this for the DLC?
Yeah, there's a mask that you have to... No, it's not even from the DLC. So, if you collect every dragon mask that's in the base game and go to a certain temple and put them in a certain location, it'll send you back... It'll send you to, like, a different time in time where you couldn't collect the final mask.
Magic regeneration. Do we just have flashback search for the Dragon Priest mask and gain the secret one after collecting all of them? Full Sing. This mask grants increases the bargaining. You only put 3 in?
There
Or are
are
you...
too many. I just realized that there's so many weapons. Oh, and I hate that. Okay, so the armor of the Crusader is kind of funny because Creation Club I thought was going to be non-canon, and it has statements from developers that it's kind of probably like at least secondary, which is weird. And from it, you could get the armor of the Crusader from the once insane Penelion's White Strake. So this armor does have some. It's
I see. And yes, I am a better haggler. Look at this face. Hey, that means they can't read you. How powerful is Dastine, aka Prince in the movie? Kyle, go. Heavy armor. Here we go. Alduin set. Wait, is that the Skyrim guy set? No, that's not his helmet. Armor of the Crusader.
there are more dragon pieces.
Okay.
One that's called but the one that's I believe it's pronounced Conic Creek. These some of these names I can't pronounce. I'm a fake Skyrim fan.
That's
No, I'm
okay.
kidding.
Imagine being a Skyrim fan.
The one with the tusks, the dragon mask with the tusks.
Yeah.
That's the one that you basically go backwards in time to get.
I see. Let's see this one in action. But there are quite a few more of them. So let's wow, there are a lot more of them. Alright, let's take a look at this. Creators Club. Alright, so the dragon, you said the one with the tusks. Let's see this.
The fact is, the best one is summoning a dragon priest, a spectral one, but it's a low chance to summon them.
That's pretty nice. It's alright, Cybers. It was a fake English major. I'm a real English major. I literally have an associate's and I'm getting my bachelor's. Just because I misspell words on occasion does not mean I am not an English major. I roared over all of you! Anyways, you need clothing
That sounds
sets?
like Cap.
You said cap or cap? Creators Club? Yeah, because wasn't there a statement that mods are canon to Skyrim at one point? My question's
That applies more so to the Creation Club, not to like any mod.
why won't you let me have my Thomas the Tank Engine dragons?
I mean, it's in the preview for the Dragonborn. It's at least mentioned, so you're fine on that end.
Kenshiro versus Kirby. I'm pretty sure Kirby doesn't have pressure points. Pretty sure.
Pretty sure Kirby stomps like horribly.
I don't know. You kind of downplay Fist of the North Star, bro. Bro, where do you even get? Do you even read Fist of the North Star? As
I've
much.
read, like, if I recall, first 60 chapters.
All right, let's move on.
No, it's been a while. I dabbled in the first 60 chapters and then I skipped arcs and then I got to the end. I still did not understand Kenshiro versus Noctis.
Dude, do not worry. I am preparing to. So once I get through my how powerful Final Fantasy 15, the first video coming out immediately after is gonna be explaining why Kenshiro versus Noctis is a good matchup. You can all suck my dick.
So in about 15 years, gotcha.
Actually, I'm already finishing my how powerful other side, which is the only project holding me. Wait, the Elder Scrolls a real fucking item?
Yes.
What the fuck?
You expect a game not to include a thing it's named after?
It is. Let's see. They are very important. They are timeless artifacts with no point of origin and no known quantity of which exist. Each one tells of an event, whether historic, present, or future. If the event has not yet come to pass, the Elder Scrolls will display all possible futures, past, truths, and falsehoods. Once the event has happened by the activate hero, the Elder Scrolls text will solidify and become unchangeable by any known magic in existence. It is stated that the scrolls can also look into higher and non-linear directions of time, as stated by Septimus Cygnus. The only events the Elder Scroll will be incapable of reading are those that occur within untime and unplace, or dragon breaks such as the Middle Dawn. During the what? Go on.
Go ahead. We'll talk about Dragon Breaks later.
During the Miritic era, the Elder Scroll was used to banish Alduin from time. Of course, it should be noted the reason the Elder Scroll was able to be used in this way against Alduin is specifically because the dragon's relationship with the time as children of Akatosh, the time god. They also have a tendency to permanently blind whoever looks into them, and the Dragonborn is not fully an exception, as they can lose their eyesight for a bit of time before regaining it. The Dragonborn owns 3 scrolls I obtained in the base game, preordaining the showdown between Alduin and the last Dragonborn, and 2 in Dawnguard. Now, I know what you're thinking. A MacGuffin just tells you about one specific event in time at the cost of your eyesight. What a letdown. But consider in a world of chaos where 1,000 contradictory truths all exist at once, the Elder Scrolls function as the only glue in the world that makes some particular events objective facts. So in the context of this world, it's pretty obvious the sheer importance they hold. They don't really add anything to the fight, though. I mean, I would disagree with that a little bit. Because, like, if we're gonna say the Chosen Undead has time to fucking pop an Estus flask, there's no way this guy just can't open an Elder Scroll, look at the next, like, thousands of moves, close it, and get ready to fight.
I mean, they'll be like momentarily blinded for a moment.
I mean, yeah, but, like, if you're fucking wearing this armor, come on. Imagine Kirby Kenshiro's hair making his Atata scream. That'd be pretty cool. The Chosen Undead abilities, the Dark Sign. Yeah,
this includes some comic stuff.
You mentioned that earlier, comic stuff. What fucking comic are you talking about?
There's multiple different comics. There's the Age of Fire, I think. Oh, hold on. Let me get the list. Because some of them depict like how resurrection works for some of them. And one of them like explicitly has a undead come back like immediately.
Aren't the comics non-canon?
They're being used for death battles, so we figured we used them for here.
Death battles using them?
Dark Souls, the Age of Fire, the Dark Souls, the Legend of Flame, the Breath of Andalis, Winter Spite. There's actually a comic for Dark Souls too. Into the Light, and then one of them.
Just ignore Dark Souls 2, bro, like you did already. Just don't even think about it. Don't even think about what you could have missed. Just move on. Don't even worry about it. What is Dragonborn's origin? Is it supposed to be a mantle or a prophecy or something? The Dragonborn is just a human. Oh, well, I guess you can correct me if I'm wrong, Cyber, because I don't know shit about this. But they're just a human born with the ability
with the soul of a god.
Apparently with the soul of a god, not a dragon.
Well,
that'd be a little
ties to a dragon, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, but the last Dragonborn is a prophecy, because, like, I think it was prophesized you were supposed to show up.
Yes, that is true.
When the dark side appears on someone, they are unable to permanently die and will continue down the path of hardship and death until they are fully cast free of the fire, hollows in their most pure form. Hollowing can be caused by a number of factors, from being killed to losing souls, to even just losing the will to live, or feelings that as if you've achieved your goal and so have no more motivation. Hope they never went through Dark Souls 2 scaling. Well, Cyber, do you want to talk about this briefly, or no? Cause...
We went a bit through Dark Souls 2, but there were some things that I found out, like, literally today. I actually have a thing open for it if it becomes necessary. There are some statements I did not find, or rather I missed into, that are kind of important. They can at least they're not needed per se for some of the arguments we make later, but they're very good supporting evidence, and I'll bring it up when it's necessary.
All right.
Okay, where are you?
I'm currently on the Uriel Longdoor part. The more I hear about this, the more I stand by it should have been the Arisen versus Dragonborn. Oh yeah, so then like you can give your I think you can give your take on this because you mentioned about Dragon's Dogma. Was there ever a possibility earlier on with G1 blog to do the Dragonborn versus the Arisen? Because I understand that's not a very popular matchup, at least not in comparison to this.
I can't really say. The reason this happened as a blog is because the episode got announced.
Yeah.
And it was announced early as last year during I can't remember the event, but it was an event that Death Battle had, and they announced this specific matchup. So.
Yeah, you actually showed it. If I recall correctly on the server, you're like, hey, this got announced today.
Yeah, someone had posted it to the Reddit, I think, a while after it came out. Yeah, so it's basically the Arisen, as sad as it's to say, is kind of niche, like really niche.
Yeah, I know.
It'd be really hard to sell that.
Yeah, I know. You're breaking poor Devil's heart. I want you to know that. What got announced? No, so this matchup was announced like 6 months ago to hype up this season. I think it was announced during the blackout period of Death Battles. And yeah, so this was announced. So that's why I was just asking, because it sounds like from everything I heard, what does he mean by niche? Guys, don't fucking lie to yourselves. You all know damn well Dragon's Dogma is a cult classic.
How many years did it take for news for Dragon Dogma? How many years?
Look, I'm just gonna call it how it is, guys. Dragon's Dogma's not that popular. Come on, listen, it's a solid
Dragon
game.
Dogma
Just don't.
is great. It's great, but it's niche as hell.
Yeah, come on, man. You know it's it's not popular. Come on, buddy. Come on, don't lie to yourself, Cypher. Come on. All right, the arrival.
Okay, so where are you?
The revival of an undead is nearly instantaneous.
Okay.
It's getting a sequel that's looking to improve. We'll see. Taking a few seconds at most and not requiring any specific thing like a bonfire to come back. Examples of this include dying in the undead asylum in the first game before the bonfire spawning you in your cell and returning to Firelink Shrine if you have no bonfire set after the tutorial, or even if the bonfire maiden has been killed by Daedric. Yep, fuck that guy. Bonfires are fueled by humanity, acting as focal points for the power of fire. And the undead curse warps miracles such as homeward to redirect the bonfires, possibly explaining why undead resurrect there. This function of resurrecting at bonfires has been exploited on occasion, such as Seat, the Scaleless, using it to trap you in a prison after killing you by placing a bonfire in the cell. And after obtaining the Lord Vessel, the chosen undead can warp to bonfire freely, even to alternate dimensions like the painted world of Aramis, or through... is that what it's called? Alright. I thought it was Arendelle. No, that's Dark Souls 3.
Arendelle is 3.
Or through times just traveling to the past. Also, wait. No, yeah, that's technically fair, but I don't know.
No, it's true. Because at the end of that, you basically use a bonfire to go back.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's just like...
Monus is the one who drags you through time, that is true. But bonfires in general seem to have the ability to also... Also, it's a thing with Dark Souls 3, the unattended graves.
Well, I mean... The light is time, so I mean that makes sense if it can travel back and forth through time.
Yeah, I'm just saying that bonfires have a few different examples of time travel. I mean, Dark Souls 2 has the memories thing for time travel, but like 1 and 3 also show that bonfires can do it to some extent.
Yeah, because from what Neo's told me, I don't know if it was stated in the guidebook or not, but I guess the flame is supposed to represent time and
That's time. Stated in games. Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3 also says it.
See, I didn't play Mid Souls 3, so that's why, or like I didn't beat it, so that's probably why I don't know what's there.
Why do you keep calling it Mid Souls? What did Dark Souls 3 do to you?
Dark Souls 3 is the worst fucking Dark Souls game I played, and I'm playing it below Elden Ring. I don't even like Elden Ring all that much. What? I beat it. I beat every boss. I can say that. I beat it. Fuck you.
Okay, what's your opinion on Sekiro?
I suck too much at Sekiro to give an honest opinion.
Oof.
Let me put it to you this way. I went into a courtyard with the mini boss. I'm still stuck on that courtyard to this day.
Alright,
yeah, I'm not going to talk about Sekiro.
Are you at the end of it?
Yeah, we're at the end of it. Dark Side can kill yourself, so you can just, chill out, go backwards. Only for Sekiro. I'm a beast gamer in every other game. Unbeatable in every other game. Except Sekiro. Fuck Sekiro. Humanity are all descendants of the furtive pygmy, the one who found the Lord Soul of Dark. The Dark Soul seems to have very unique properties that are not fully clear exactly what it controls. The Dark Soul was able to be infinitely divided from person to person, allowing humans to in a way all share the same soul. A humanity is a fragment of the Dark Soul that nearly every human has, but can be easily lost if killed while undead. In essence, it's the purest form of a human soul you can have, and acts as the antithesis to other souls. Why does the chosen undead get... Oh, you're describing humanity. Because I was going to say, last I checked, only Slave Knight Gale has the Dark Soul in its entirety.
Well, okay, that's not entirely true. He does. He has the biggest amalgamation of it. But do you recall how he got it?
No.
He was killing all the pygmies and then would drink their blood. Because they have the Dark Soul in their blood.
Yeah, because I specifically remember...
When you kill him...
Yeah.
You get the blood of the Dark Soul. So it's like... But we're not giving the chosen undead the Dark Soul. We're just explaining what humanities are.
Okay. If targeted soulstone effects will have their humanity affected before anything else. Additionally, those with many fragments of humanity, if targeted with soulstone, will have the... Alright. Status effects. There are several negative status effects chosen that can inflict. Poison, toxic, bleed. Yep. Bleed is a durability negation tool.
Kind of, in the aspect that if you, I mean, he ends up causing more damage from like even a superficial wound. That's the point.
Okay, man. All right, buddy. I'm not gonna agree with on that one, but that's that. You do you. Although chosen as the option to swing their sword like a barbarian to their heart's content, they may be inclined to pick up a book or two or learn magic. Fake news. All I need is my sword. Yeah, no. So magic powers are pretty silly. Magic is possibly be from the stars.
DS2.
Okay.
That's a lore piece from DS2.
Alright. Even the collectivism must pull out magic out of the sky. Alright, makes sense. Lost sorcery from it and land make sure that's a source light in order to deflect magic. Yeah. Sorcery. Fuck homing soul mass and homing crystal soul mass. Everything else here is relatively fine. Magic weapon. Yeah, this is augmentation. Yeah, because I don't think you get a magical blade until Dark Souls 3, or is that just Elden Ring specific where you can actually create a magical sword? Because it's not Dark Souls 2, and I don't think it's in Dark Souls 1 to just create a magical
Only
sword.
magic are included is DS1 stuff.
Alright. Hidden weapon.
Although there is exception you'll notice possibly in if you scroll down.
Alright. So, let's see there. We're going to Pyromancy, Fireball, Fire Orb, Great Fireball, and also, yeah, so these do matter to some extent, because these are sorceries technically, but they're actually curses. I just noticed them shaved. You notice that now? How'd you just notice I shaved? What, do you notice I got a haircut too? Just in case I got a haircut. Great Chaos Fireball, Firestorm, Fire Tempest, Chaos Storm. Combustion, Great Combustion, Fire Surge, Fire Whip, Chaos Fire Whip, Poison Mist, Toxic Mist, Acid Surge, Flash Sweat, Iron Flesh. Love Iron Flesh. Hope they didn't include the hexes. No, this is a Dark Souls 1 character, so hexes were considered sorceries.
Can't really give hexes. If it was a composite protagonist, sure, but can't really do that.
Yeah, so these fall more under... yeah, I think Mangler brought this up specifically when we were talking about it, but like hexes specifically are technically in Dark Souls 1, but they're referred to as sorcery. I got my haircut yesterday. Great heal, soothing sunlight, replenishment, force. Oh, force? You mean better Fus Roll Da? Yeah, 100%. Wrath of the Gods, even better version. Emit force. Hexes are OP. Homeward, seek guidance. Yeah, so these are... Oh, actually, wait. These are kind of nice here. Lightning Spear, Great Lightning Spear, the Sunlight Spear.
Vow of Silence and Tranquil were some of the more popular ones to bring up.
All right.
Vow of Silence Vow of Silence was argued whether or not it could screw over basically like the Dragonborn because it does nullify magic and also vocally spoken ones. The problem is to use it, the Chosen Undead kind of has to sacrifice that too, and it's for 15 seconds.
Let's not lie to ourselves.
You'll see an argument for that in verdicts, but anyway, I'll stop interrupting. Continue.
All right. Oh, and then there's a slow. All right, let's continue here. Yeah, so these are, I think, all the more unique ones. Sunlight Spear you can only get from doing the Sunlight Covenant, Sunlight Blade, Dark Moon Blade, Gravelord's Sword Dance. Yeah, just swords. That's only to Nito, and it's also, I think, the only one that's colored red, so it's kind of cool. Summons. We're giving summons here. Solaire, Lautrec, Black Iron Tark. I don't agree with the summons personally, unless you're like, what are we gonna argue? Like, he would just write down his name, and then like they'll just fucking pick it up and come in during the battle.
It admittingly is one of the. I'm pretty sure both verdicts don't inherently like use it much, but it was worth mentioning.
That was the only thing Elden Ring actually improved from Dark Souls, is it let you actually summon shit on your own.
Sith needs to attack them for blasphemy. Anyway, continue.
Alright, the last Dragonborn. So this is something
You skipped resistances. I'm surprised.
Well, because... So, can we really call it a resistance if everything fucking works on you and you just power through it?
You can resist Rapport.
What the fuck is Rapport? Which manipulates the ones in its targets and forces them to attack?
Undead Rapport. It's actually a mistranslation in the English version, but it's I'm trying to
Okay.
remember where it was listed under. I think it was
So,
under pyromancy.
all right, all
Um,
right. Let's take a look at
yeah,
this
it
then.
was the second to last of the. If you want to scroll up, it's the second
Okay.
to last of the
Well,
pyromancy.
hang on. Who uses that on you though, or is that just like him activating it on himself?
Trying to remember. Remember in gameplay, you should be immune to it if I'm not mistaken.
I don't
Um,
remember anyone using undead
do
reports.
know that the chosen undead is not affected by Sif's attacks, and if you composite Sif's energy in the comics, is described as being able to unmake the consciousness of those it's exposed to.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I mean that was already given in the Moonlight Greatsword. But yeah, like that's a fair point. I did not consider that one. They also have limited resistance to transmutation, as there are ways in game to increase your curse resistance. Curse and stats effect to transform the target of stone and will be transmutation. However, it is worth noting that it is impossible to reach 100% immunity to curse. There is a spell called Chameleon, which transforms the chosen undead to an object. However, they are fully capable of moving around, transforming back while an object. Does Chameleon directly state it turns you into an object?
Let me see the description.
Because I was gonna say like you.
Sorcery transform into something inconspicuous. A separate a self spell for apart from head and body. So it does seem to transform you.
Okay, that's fine then. Because I was gonna say like I'm not too sure if that's just transformation or is that like just like camouflage. Okay, so
It
traditional.
does say in the description it transforms.
Good enough. Traditional transmutation also does not bypass the respawn mechanic and is not viable when counted against the chosen undead. Human undead, like the chosen undead, are capable of surviving and resurrecting even after having their soul ripped out. Very nice. All right, magic for the last Dragonborn. As
Boy.
as
So one thing I need to warn you: we really should have used pastebin for some of the Elder Scrolls sections because Elder Scrolls section has a lot of direct text quoted. That's why it's so big, especially in Cosmology. It did not occur to me to use pastebin early on, and by the time I had proposed the idea or was aware of the idea, it was way too late. So next time something like this happens, where we have a series that you have a lot of lore that has to be directly quoted, we'll just put it in pastebin, and then just link the pastebin.
already using tier 1 stuff for Dova. Currently at the moment they have not given an AP rating on
I'm
the
not
log.
spoiling anything unless we end up having to cut this short.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so text that's like seemingly like different, like italicized or whatever, that's direct quote text. Like normal text is just normal text.
alright. So let's read this portion here. Magic is a fundamental force which descends from the not gonna pronounce that.
Theories.
Arturius, to bind the world together and give it shape, to utilize magical power to impose your will upon reality itself. Very nice. All right, let's. So I'm assuming these are descriptions. Oh, this is just alteration. Okay.
They're just quotes to tell you. Um,
Both schools attempt to create what's not there. The difference is rules of nature. Illusion is not bound by them, while alteration is bound by the rules of nature. Alteration creates a reality that's recognized by everyone. Illusion's reality is only in the mind of the caster and target. Okay, so alteration is basically just like very specific reality warping.
All magic in Tez in Elder Scrolls is to some degree reality warping.
Hang on.
When you get to Dragon Shops, we'll have to discuss tonal magic,
All
which
right.
is
One moment.
more like conceptual.
Sorry, I'm in a very cramped room and I have to turn on my fan because the PC's hot air has just been like increasing in the room.
If you want to resume this at another time, I'm game.
Oh no, that's fine because I'm pretty sure once we get through this. Wait, you said cosmology separate? Is cosmology separate from magic? Because you guys referenced cosmology already. Is that...
Cosmology is all the way at the bottom, my friend. You have a lot of hacks to go through.
Don't even. All right. Then okay, so we already got a good idea of what alteration is. So we'll go ahead and continue from there. Like there are a few more here, but you guys can read that for yourselves with how long we've been here. Oh yeah, have fun. Oh god. Hang on. This is corroborated in a recent Lore Master's archive where a mage describes himself as a will worker who uses magic to change reality with the sheer strength of his personality. All right. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. The act change of reality itself with the strength of your personality is exhausting. I think they're in the same timeline, just different parts. Or are the Elder Scrolls the same universe, different time periods, or different universes each game?
there's a thing called the Kalpa, which is kind of like, think of it as like linear time in a way. The events of Arena all the way up to Skyrim are technically part of the same Kalpa, or the same like linear time.
Okay, and you don't even actually need to actually cast anything. You can just do it with your mind and thinking if you actually know what you're doing. Very nice, very nice.
There are some examples of this in gameplay. Obviously, you do like hand movements to cast. But you'll quickly learn that gameplay in Elder Scrolls is more. I mean, some developers have even called it more like a shackle. It's restricted to show what lore is.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of game developers do that nowadays. And Alduin's gonna eat that shit. Linear time until Talos was like, hold up. Armor spells such as Dragon Hide, which increase the caster's damage resistance. Detect Life, which can reveal life forms within its radius. Detect Dead is an undead counterpart of this. Of course it is. Paralyze spells, conjuration spells. I know what those are. Reanimate spells, fire spells. Amazing, please rotate. Shock spells. Shock was the best offensive magic. Fight me. Frost spells. Yes. Create blizzards. Whirlwind Dragon's Dogma. Greater to the Elder Scrolls combat. That's not saying much, Devil. Whirlwind Cloak. Spell can toss enemies back when they come with a really major invisibility spells. Fear spells. Calm spells. Healing spells. Ward spells. Against physical and magical attacks. Sun spells. That inflict fire damage with added efficiency against the undead. Turn undead spells. Force undead to flee. They also gain access to special magic as a vampire. It's composite. I'll move on. Wait, does he not get werewolf physiology then?
Those are in forms. Werewolf doesn't get any magic per se.
Oh, okay. Vampiric Drain, a spell that can attack propels life force from a distance. Vampiric Seduction, a very potent mind control as it can forcibly dominate the will of a moth priest. A moth priest who is one trained to read the Elder Scrolls, an act which can culminate in madness, blindness. Yeah, okay, you already mentioned that. Embrace of Shadows, a spell which can be used to turn oneself invisible. For more extensive list of spells, see this page. How about no? Prisoner, Physiology, and a Beatles reference. Oh, good lord. What does this mean?
It is a metaphysical position in Elder Scrolls, and if you read the whole thing, it might melt your mind. I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll read through this a little bit, and if it starts sounding stupid, we will move on. How does one eat the world? Well, moving on. Alright, let's actually do this shot. When you consider a place like Tamariel, sometimes best to take titles literally, Alduin is the world eater, it's not going to be the end of all. Is this a fucking dev interview?
Yes.
Motherfucker.
You're gonna learn that Elder Scrolls has a lot of them.
Living in a barren wasteland of earthborn dirt, it's going to be the whole of Nurm inside his mighty gullet. None shall survive has been a calling card for a while, and that was only a hint to the more extensive nothing will survive. Unless, of course, there's a loophole. Say something like someone called the Dova Kid happened to show up, born under certain stars to uncertain parents. Alright. Makes this prisoner, aside for extra credit, one of the arborists makes the prisoner such a powerful mythical figure. I don't know. Elaborates on the nature of the prisoner, even referring to the vestige by a title. He describes the prisoner as one who can perceive the chains of causality and time that bind everyone in the Godhead's dream, while also being able to know the door which permits their escape.
Okay, so little context. All of Elders. Do you remember the whole Azathoth thing when people would claim that like everything in like Lovecraft's mythology was part of the dream of the idiot god?
Yeah.
Kind of like that, a little bit more complicated in Elder Scrolls. There's a godhead, and everything from Mundus to the Arbus and beyond is part of the godhead's dream, which pertains to the name the prisoner, because in reality it's kind of like a prison in a way. So prisoner is kind of like the only being who's free to actually do one of the few metaphysical positions that is free to make their own choices. And it gets a little bit more wackier. You're free. Sorry, I'm yawning. You're free to continue reading.
It's okay. I'll allow it only because I know how late it is where you're at. Because it's in the same time zone I'm in. Anyways, great power making reality a metaphor. Wait, so just to be clear here. Are all the main characters prisoners or just the Dragonborn? Yes?
All of them are, and the irony is that every single mainline game starts with you in a prison or as a prisoner. Even technically, the opening of Skyrim has you as a prisoner being about to be executed. So
Yeah, I was there. I woke up. Hang on. So, can we source these? I'm assuming this is sourced, right? Like, this is a link to the actual interview and not just like a fucking Imgur post.
goes straight to the interviews or quotes saved on USEP, and you can also find them on Imperial Library, which is an archive that saves every interview. Later on, we do like there are some interviews will just directly link to the actual interviews, but USCP and Imperial Library are like archives that are recognized by Bethesda.
Guys, guys,
Their
guys.
developers and writers will actually use them for like lore note keeping.
All right, guys. I'm not gonna ask that because this is gonna take too long as it is.
What was the question?
So, because obviously we went through the God of War and who was it? Kratos versus Ozra one, and so they want to know specifically because there were no author statements for God of War used in the God of War blog, but
So,
there's some
okay,
here. So,
I can make this quick.
all right, go
There's a
ahead.
difference. So, my argument would be that basically you have like some degree of confliction between God of War statements, especially if they're done on Twitter, and several of them are born from like battleboarding esque questions. Elder Scrolls is a bit different in which I don't think I've ever come across a question that was born from battleboarding. So they're not even from Twitter posts. It depends on the writer, but most of the time it's just from interviews. Sometimes it's from Twitch streams because Elder Scrolls Online's lore master, Lehman Seedle, and then other ones will usually host promotional interviews for like upcoming expansions. Then you had Michael Kirkbride, who had on the old Bethesda forums, would make posts for lore people who wanted to like world eating 101 was one of my favorites. It's a very short one, but it's like so Lady N, who's a lore master, not like an official one, but she was a community member. She along with other people would compile everything on Imperial Library. She eventually married Michael Kirkbride. So the difference is basically 99.9% of all Word of God statements from Elder Scrolls are explicitly non versus debating lore based questions for world building, and even clarifying the nature of contradiction. Because the one problem with God of War is if you have a contradiction, it's hard to mitigate it because you just end up having to decide what do you think is more consistent. Elder Scrolls is really weird because its Godhead cosmology allows numerous contradictions to occur, even within developer statements, and they all hold true at the same time. It's kind of the point of the Elder Scrolls. Like there's multiple factors. There's dragon breaks, which are like breakages in times that allow multiple events to simultaneously be true and untrue at the same time. There's the waters of Nirn, which are like memory of all the people who live. So like you'll have different religions who believe in a thing, and belief is a very powerful force. That's why the whole Scroll section was important to bring up that the Elder Scrolls are one of the few things that you can see objectivity. But there is objectivity. All things can be true in Elder Scrolls, but there's always a more like one of the counters is usually said to be an unreliable narrator. There isn't an unreliable narrator. It's just that everything can be true. So, like Manny Marco is a good example. Manny Marco is a character who spends all of Daggerfall trying to ascend to godhood, but because of Dragon Break ends up happening, it ends up all the endings of Daggerfall are canon, which would normally be impossible because they contradict each other. But the Dragon Break allows all of them to be true. So there's two Manny Marcos now. There's the Manny Marco who failed in one ending and ended up remaining as a mortal. And then there's Manny Marco, the god, who's always been a god, like a retroactive retcon, in a way. So if you get a word of God that contradicts, it depends, really. You'll have to look into it. But if it's a lore thing, it's usually either just a lore inclusion, or it's something that can be easily explained with like a dragon break, or like like the waters of Nirn, stuff like that.
Okay, so that's fine,
To
but
simplify,
yeah.
contradictions in God of War don't have an excuse, and most Word of God is just Battleborn questions. Elder Scrolls has a whole system to deal with contradictions,
Okay.
and none of its statements are for Battleboarding.
Very briefly to calm them down a little bit because I don't look at the chat. I'll mention Zen's thing right now, but just to be clear, it sounds like regardless of your feelings, one of the main reasons was that the questions were mainly for battleboarding. And Kyle, you know this, I know this. When Wangler went through a lot of the Twitter tweets, a lot of those questions, I got those answers, were ultimately born from battleboarding. A lot of them were. You know that to be true. Getting a bit off topic, but there might have been others who didn't agree with the God of War, Word of God stuff on the blog. To not use it. Yeah, no. At the end of the day, so I don't mind using so these are direct interviews.
There was
right?
one thing that ended up in the God of War one that was from Twitter that was a mistake that can be removed at any time. I would have to basically just ask for its removal. But most of the idea behind the God of War Word of God was it can be included if it's a interview or if it was. I can't remember if we agreed on Reddit Q&A. Because some of the Elder Scrolls Word of God is Reddit Q&As, but not not for battleboarding. Lore masters will occasionally, and that's the thing. Elder Scrolls has a lore master. They always have a lore master. When a lore master quits or has to resign, they swap in with a new one. A lore master is required to know lore by the back of their hand. Right, yeah. God of War doesn't really have a lore master. It has its devs who we'll talk about it. Obviously, Cory Balrog, but it doesn't have a lore master because you already have a director or a head of Bethesda, right?
Yeah.
Or of the Elder Scrolls, but you don't have a lore master. So the lore master will hold Reddit Q&As from occasionally, and if they're called out on something being wrong, they'll usually make note of that and then go back and check the lore. It also helps that you can cite 99.9% of everything. Some Twitter stuff for God of War can't be cited. So
just go ahead and let it go for now. They'll be out for blood regardless. They can't be satisfied, and we don't exactly have as much free time because apparently there's still a cosmology we got to cover. So what the fuck?
I'll just simplify it by saying Word of God between the two are entirely different beasts.
Alright, so what the fuck is a Shizarine? Because I feel like you could summarize this.
This is another kind of role aspect.
What the fuck does that
mean? Is able to, without any issues, remain stable of time, space, logic, death, etc.
Wow, was I not clear the God of War Twitter stuff? I didn't name anybody specifically because you guys were all just asking the same thing, Devil. It's not personal. Devil's just so used to being called that guy that it's just PTSD attacks. Why isn't Kyle allowed speaking right now? He's not, but we gotta focus right now. He's playing something else.
You might want to get to Thum.
Yeah, let's get to that Thum. Origin. It's just saying words in dragon, isn't it? No need to look at an origin.
Not at all. Not at all. Not as simple as that.
Fuck! Alright, let's see here. We have specialized origin, ultimately the nature of function. It is said that Kain gifted the Nords the ability to shout, but this was not an ability that originated from her, but in fact a subset of another ability. Also, the contrary to popular belief, the Doom may have been granted to the Nords by Kain, but did not originate with her. Rather, the Doom was a special subset of a greater power, and even one of the weaker ones at that. This greater power being referred to is in fact tonal magic, an ability which the Dwemer?
The Dwemers. They're a race that disappeared because of their own misusage of such thing.
Alright. Dwemer of a name of tonal architecture. All reality within the Godhead's dream is composed of tones. What the fuck, man? Which emerged from the Godhead's primal wail at the beginning of the dream. And existence can be analogized to a song? You gonna say something?
Analogized.
I am an English major! You will know your place! which the tonal architects manipulated with their instruments. In doing so, they could shape reality through the use of archetypes, myths, and metaphor. What the fuck, man? What is this bullshit you're providing me?
I told you tonal magic was more conceptual.
Then why does all it do is boost me and scream people back?
Gameplay is a shackle. Thume is one of the more lesser applications of tonal magic, so it's not as broken as like trying to rewrite all of the cosmology by like rearranging the tones or whatever.
Notably, the descriptor myth metaphor made manifest is spoken of by a dragon in reference to the mask of
Alkosh.
Alkosh, thank you. Notably, the dragonic words he speaks translates to legend bring touch. Yes. Myth may manifest, the trick of the mask and nothing more. The power intrinsic to words and tones they produce is also stated elsewhere to be intrinsically magical, and likely some faint and forgotten power that existed during the pre-dawn time. The Thume would naturally be an extension of the supposed pre-dawn powers that operates under the same principles of words of power. Kirkbride was a theology major. He wrote also a lore. That's why it's so convoluted. Of course, he was a fucking theology major.
Kirkbride. It wasn't just Kirkbride who wrote. So like, I can't remember if it was Kirkbride who helped write Battlespire, but Battlespire has some really trippy stuff. It almost the game Battlespire is almost like if it was written by someone who was taking skooma.
Yeah, no. You talk to theology majors, and they are fucking cracked.
So a friend of mine noted that a lot of Kirkbride's works are derivative off the like Thelma, like works of Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. You'll notice a lot of theologies that are really popular are derivatives, like even SMT, because I know you're familiar with that to some extent. Like it's just derivative of Paradise Lost. A character speculates on the nature of the Thume and connects to other forms of magic that utilizes songs and music, directly referencing the Dwemer's practice of tonal architecture. The Dwemer were known for incorporating musical instruments in the use of the ability. So are you telling me if I give the fucking Dragonborn a guitar and a mic, his fucking shout's gonna be way more potent?
I don't think it means it like that, but so you're free to continue.
You're telling me Freddie Mercury would be unstoppable with the shout? The Thume is not also merely a collection of incantations either. For the Greybeards to take a vow of silence as the mere act of speaking can endanger the world. Alright. Yeah, Talos turned back, for he is marching the mountain where the Greybeards dwell. Inside, when seeing him, they removed their gags. When they spoke his name, the world shook. Don't the Greybeards talk to you, though?
Some of them do, but we're told... Angeard says that if some of them spoke, you would just outright die.
Tell me gets Elder AIDS. No. Alright, the voices are too powerful for anyone not trained in the way to withstand. Even a whisper could kill you. Does he say that when you come back at the end of the game after killing fucking Alduin? I'd like to hear him say that again.
Towards the end of the game, they confuse you as Sigmar, basically, like, or rather give you that name. So they're basically pretty much, like, you're pretty much considered superior to them. There's nothing they can teach you.
Nice. All this seems to imply that Doom is a metaphysical power which directly alters the tones that compose reality itself to produce its varied effects. Unrelenting force. A shout of raw power that can disintegrate foes with its sheer force. Bullshit. It just knocks them back. Or a whisper that can detect nearby presences of life forms. Become ethereal. The devil can reach down to the void, changing their form into one that cannot be harmed. What the fuck? Bend will, a powerful shout that can dominate the will of any living thing, giving the indomitable dragons a feat not even Molag Bal, the Daedric Prince of Domination, was able to achieve. Notable, it also functions on the dragons who are within
Apocrypha.
Oh, Apocrypha for centuries alongside Murek, who was also undaunted by the realm's negative effects on the mind. Gameplay is a shackle.
So, this one's interesting. Because when scaling Ben Will to Molag Bal was brought up, because Molag Bal was unable to break a dragon or even control it, he eventually chose, you know what, I'm just killing it. I guess I mistook something because I thought Molag Bal's method of that was torture. No, it turns out Molag Bal does have mind hacks and also the ability to cast illusions. So and it's mentioned that all forms of attempted domination were tried on the dragon and failed. Yet bend will, and this was a fodder dragon. It wasn't even like a normal one. The thing with dragons is that like closer to divine rather than just being draconic. Like if you kill a dragon, their soul resides in their bones. It doesn't normally pass on unless it's like the Dragonborn. That's why like Alduin is able to bring them back. He's literally just restoring their physical form, which like allows their soul to remain.
That sounds fucking stupid, but okay.
I mean,
It's
it makes
over.
sense.
Chosen Undead lost. Yeah. Like, no, this is fucking ridiculous.
Oh, it makes sense though because it derives from Alduin, who himself is like, depending on what you
Sean.
buy.
No, because fucking aren't Daedric princes supposed to be vastly stronger than these people? Isn't that like the whole point of more like
Daedric
Oblivion's
princes
ending?
are strong. Okay, so Daedric princes are stronger than like regular dragons, but they can also be restricted when they are on Nirn, typically using aspects. Like her scene, for example, in Morrowind will manifest as an aspect. If should you, I mean, when you complete the Blood Moon quest as a boss fight, rather than fight you himself. It's more so they can't like. Normally, a Daedric prince cannot fully manifest on Nirn for multiple reasons, usually related to the towers I mentioned earlier. But there have been some examples of like characters directly scaling. I mean, the hero Kavach literally defeats Sheogorath's like original form at the end in the Shivering Isles. So there's some direct scaling. Caligula's Vile, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Vile, does say that like the Dragonborn is like somewhat close to them, but I don't think that statement would matter because it's like Vile while still restricted in power, like on Nirn. So it's like would not be the true power. You do fight several of the Daedric princes directly as the Vestige, but it's like generally they're amped. Like Amulet of Kings amps them to beat more like Baal. They have the Dawnbreaker to stop Nocturnal, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
But there are short stories where Alduin fights Mehrunes Dagon and kicks his butt. So
All right.
Alduin is.
Just answer one question for me. Where does
What's the question?
where does Talos scale in reference to the Daedric princes?
Talos is weird because Talos is more of an amalgamation of three different people in one.
Wait, they copied Christianity.
Talos is meant to be kind of derives from that. It's not just Christianity that Talos derives from, but you can make an argument that Talos kind of derives from that.
All right. We're not gonna. We're just gonna move on. This one's
Okay,
important. Dragonrend is important because I hear everyone talk about fucking Dragonrend.
I hate the argument of using Dragonrend on this chosen undead. Okay, so the argument for Dragonrend, is very simple. It forces upon beings who do not understand mortality. Well, mortality. Dragons are generally not seen like as mortal, and especially Alduin. Alduin is like. If you check the game code, it actually even coded it in. It's called Alduin Immortality or something like that, or Invulnerability. It's literally just invulnerability that he has, and Dragonrend kind of like negates it.
Yeah, so
Because it forces the idea of like
mortality
on him. And even with that, it's even stated that Dragonrend wouldn't be sufficient to kill him. Like the Dragonborn has to go all in to kill Alduin, and it was only possible in Sovngarde. But they do beat Alduin really bad in the first fight, like in the game and in the official game guide, which was written by Bethesda developers and edited by them. It stated that he got his butt handed to him so bad that he got weakened, so he goes to Sovngarde to chew on. Because like Alduin is kind of like Galactus, but with souls. The more souls he eats, the stronger he becomes, and the larger he becomes. One of the popular arguments against Skyrim being, Alduin being at full power in Skyrim is that, he's not rendered to be like the size of a planet.
Yeah.
But my issue with that is that we're told many a times the games are like shackles for the lore, and specifically there's actually statements for Skyrim that its map cannot actually game limitations with the engine and everything doesn't allow the maps to be
like one-to-one as they should. Like Skyrim is not the actual size that you walk in game. It's far larger. I don't really think they'd be able to render
Yeah.
Alduin as like a son. Plus, part of the lore for him getting stronger, I mean, larger from eating souls was introduced years after Skyrim released. There was a short story that was known earlier that Neo posted earlier that like depicts him growing larger from eating stuff, but like it was retcon slash clarified in online that it's from eating souls, which makes sense. Skyrim's own game script says that he gets stronger from eating souls.
All right. So, is there any other shouts we're discussing? Because I'm currently looking at racial powers and general greater powers. I'm just curious, like.
You could just skip that. We
All
can
right.
skip that if you
Yeah.
want.
All right. Perks. We're gonna skip that too because fuck the Skyrim perk system. Oh my! Actually, I have a problem. Why the fuck is Smithy in here?
You know what's funny about perks?
What?
I recently came across an argument that when you mess with perks, Dragonborn might actually be causing the quote-unquote stars to illuminate. Because there's a statement from Todd Howard that in Skyrim, when you do that, they actually do illuminate. So it's really stupid. It's like you messing with the perk system like actually causes the constellations to flare.
I'm going to tell you right now, Todd Howard is not reliable. No.
I think some of his statements are fine.
Motherfucker, that man is known for his lies. You will not speak his name as reliable in this.
Listen. The statements were made at the time Skyrim was released. Okay, I don't need to fall back on Todd that much. I don't even buy this argument. I think it's like not really AP. It's like one of the popular ones is that you feed like when you get the final black book in the Dragonborn DLC, you can like give it a dragon soul and it like seemingly rearranges the constellation on screen without the menu. And I've seen people argue this is IP, and I'm like, hell, it's the black book doing it if you take it as literally. It's not like actual Dragonborn doing it. I mean, there are better cosmological arguments for the Dragonborn than like constellation shifting.
So I actually have a question. Just like this is like a casual one, not specifically this one. If you make a star in the night sky shine brighter, what would that even give you scaling wise? I don't really see how that would give you.
In Elder Scrolls or in real life?
In real life, is this like an Elder Scrolls specific argument?
Stars in Elder Scrolls are not stars.
Right.
They're giant holes in the Aetherius that are an infinite distance away from Nirn.
I'm sorry, they're what?
An infinite distance.
No. The first part. You said the stars were giant black holes?
Oh, giant holes, like tears in reality. The Magna Gay, which were part of like the overall gods, like the Aedra, they realized that they had been tricked by Lorkhan into creating Mundus, and it was going to restrict them. So they said, "Screw this," and they basically flew their asses away from there and tore through the very fabric of reality into like the dimension, like the plane called Aetherius, where all magic is from. The sun, in particular, is the largest star, and it's Magnus, the god of magic.
Wait, it's what?
It's the whole. It's both the whole and Magnus.
No. Wait, yeah, that part. It's who? It's a person.
It's the whole and the god.
Cyber, I have one simple question for you. If these are holes in reality, why did they disappear during the fucking day?
Holes close and open.
Oh, of course they do!
That's also stated on the line.
Of course it fucking is.
Online, I love online because it's like people used to complain about like all the lore explanation is from outside books of the games. You can't use those, even though it's stated we can. But then online went and like, you know what, screw it. We'll canonize everything and we'll shove it into in-game books and online.
I hate this. I hate this so fucking much. That is the stupidest fucking thing. So for those of you who did not hear, the reason they closed during the day is because, or the reason the stars disappear during the day is because apparently the holes just randomly close and then reopen. I guess they sync themselves up to the day-night cycle of fucking wherever the fuck they are, Tamarel or whatever, Tamaria.
Also need to keep in mind that when people look into the stars in the sky, they're kind of like also falsely perceiving to them. I mentioned this earlier.
Yeah, you mentioned the
Like with the
planets.
planets, they
Yeah.
cannot comprehend it. Like the mind will literally like fracture, so the mind tricks itself.
So bad writing? No. It's not bad writing. None of this is technically bad writing. It's just
It's not bad
it
writing. It's well
is
done.
it is silly. It is exceptionally silly. It's trippy as balls writing. This makes Stephen King proud. Like we're talking prime Stephen King with the the Dovahkiin can potentially gain 100% resistance to magic. I'm a little iffy on 100% game resistance to certain abilities, but you know.
Morrowind clarifies what resistance to magic is, and gives like a variety. You can argue they would easily fall under what's called like prisoner physiology. Um, I do think you can definitely argue that like the Dovahkiin doesn't inherently have
Yeah.
like a non-limits fallacy version to it. Like if they got hit by magic from like I don't know, say Hermaeus Mora, they're gonna get screwed over.
We haven't even gotten the
But
cosmology. I'm already fucking dying on the inside. Okay, all right. So fair enough. Fair enough. So there's an explanation around it, so to speak. All right. Resist silence, paralysis, calm, fear, blind, attribute. Okay, so just resist basically most standard effects. Okay, he does not resist fire and frost. Fuck out of here. I've played the fucking game. Uh, they also use spell absorption in combination with resist magic. As a Shazarine, the Dovahkiin can resist and sustain themselves as concepts of space, time, logic, life, and death, and are removed from the wheel. Yeah, alright, fuck you. The Dovahkiin can also fight Alduin, whose mere presence causes dragon breaks to occur.
this is stated, yes, in online, well, specifically in an online interview, and I think there's also a book for it.
Alright. Even as Alduin threats to devour Dovahkiin's soul in Sovngarde, the Dovahkiin is capable of standing and defending themselves. The
This one I do
Dovahkiin...
not agree with. This one I do not agree with. I don't agree with the argument that Alduin was trying to eat your soul. Alduin does eat souls, but it's explicitly stated that they have to be like souls that are out of the body. So
So you think
I
that's a
do
weak
not agree with
argument?
this being. I did not write that part. I do not agree with it.
Alright. The Dovahkiin can overcome Muric's use of Ben. Yeah, I gotta be honest here. Even without a cosmology argument, it looks like the Dragonborn just has way too many hacks and resistances that I don't think the Chosen Undead can beat. Now, if we're talking about the Bearer of the Curse, that's a different story. I'm kidding.
In a way to player like as a canon thing besides Soul of Cinder.
Yes. The Dovahkiin and Muric can survive in Apocroth. Also, he can overcome Murica's use of Ben Will. Let's see. Bearer of the Curse is based Zim. Too true. Zim. What? Bearer. Movie Harry Potter versus movie Percy Jackson. Dark Lord. Sorry if I can't answer too many of those, but I'm going to give that to movie Harry Potter. I don't think Percy Jackson demonstrates anything good in the movies. Forms. That is the ugliest dragon form I have ever fucking seen. Holy
This is official
shit.
artwork from the compendium.
Wow. I mean, it's ugly. It's not bad, but it's fucking certainly ugly.
The dragon form looks better in DS3.
Vampire Lord, Werewolf. Werewolf was such a fucking useless transformation, especially when they had a Vampire Lord, because Vampire Lord was just better in every fucking way.
I've seen some players say that the werewolf was more useful than the vampire lord.
Well, they're fucking wrong, mates. Okay,
Anyway,
feats.
so wait. I need to specify. This blog has an experimental section. You might say, wait, where are certain feats? The feats section is now meant to be more direct feats, and then there's a scaling section after the feats section, which goes into more scaling stuff. We might keep it, we might not. It depends if people like it or hate it.
Those players were high, 100% true. Alright, first person to relight the first flame after Gwyn, or became the first Dark Lord. Correct me if I'm wrong, but shouldn't this guy for sure be confirmed to light the flame? You literally fight his corpse as the Soul of Cinder. It's his armor, it's his armor he's wearing.
I've seen people contest whether he canonically is truly part of the Soul of Cinder. I mean, like the movesets, like spells, but you could maybe just argue. I'm not sure if it's like flat out ever like 100% stated.
Motherfucker, he's wearing the first armor set he gets. I know not you specifically, but like
No,
Well, not
I know he
not
does,
not
but it's
not, not
like
the time.
there are some. I know some. I've checked. I made sure before that was posted to check like several Reddits and like, yeah, it's like a contentious topic apparently amongst some people in the Dark Souls community whether or not Chosen Undead is actually canonically part of Soul of Cinder. It's weird.
Listen. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you the canon right now because this is what everything points towards. DS1, light the flame. DS2, dip. DS3, light the flame. Or no, actually no. DS3 is also dipping because the painted world of Arendale's post game, right? Yeah, because you're stuck in the world of dark. You fight Slave Knight Gale as like just in the dark now. That's like you're like the last people fighting. My guy, he used the sunlight spear.
Right,
Didn't see.
where you might want to get through feats
Yeah,
fast, just
we
in
don't care about
case
this.
so we can get.
Power.
I
Yeah,
might
we
push.
know these.
Again, these are direct feats. You'll find the scaling later on.
All right, so power rekindles and sustains the first flame with their own energy. Can match and defeat beings using Lord Souls. Carry can wield Gal's bow. The Chaos Fireball 40 tons of TNT. Chaos Storm 11.3 tons of TNT. This feels wrong on so many levels, but moving on. Can casually break crates. Can I hate you. Can swing around Smaug's hammer. Can parry blows from Gwyn. Strong enough to cut off Dragon's Tail. Can kill Taurus demons who can survive the magma produced by the ceaseless discharge. Speed. Capable of dodging, okay, that's trash. Can dodge and react to green bow arrows. Has access to lightning magic and dodgy spells. Can dodge the light needles from the Moonlit Butterfly. You mean the light beams of Moonlit Butterfly, yeah?
They're actually stated to be light needles in the game guide.
I could have sworn Pimp Demon posted a scan saying it's light beams, but alright. Can jog...
I'll open it right now. Yeah, Boss Moonlight Butterfly. Light. Yeah, animation is the same for the light needles, soul mass, and beam attacks. So this one was just talking about the light needles.
Alright, we'll just move on from here then, because we already know more or less this fucker can withstand everything for like 2 hits and then immediately die. The last Dragonborn has slain countless dragons and other evil creatures throughout Skyrim, including himself. Took in the contents of the Alduin Infinite, which said to cause information overload in the brain and cause hemorrhaging. Capable of becoming the Archmage of the College of Winterhold, Grandmaster of the Dark Brotherhood. Yeah, alright. Defeated Alduin, Mirek, Mercer Frey, Harkon, Soon, Dragon Priest, Karstag, the Ebony Warrior, whatever the fuck those are.
The Ebony Warrior and Karstag are like bonus endgame bosses for the base build.
Alright.
Karstag by me is for Dragonborn. Ebony Warrior though I'm pretty sure is for the base build.
Okay. Does he have any lore scaling, or is he just a final boss for like players?
No, he's like the highest leveled enemy in the game, if I'm not mistaken, for the base game.
Became the Thane of all the Jarls in the province of Skyrim. Became the champion of the Daedric princes. Became a master in smithing, alchemy, and enchanting. Yep, all those iron daggers. Mastered the way of the voice, learned dozens of different shouts. Ended the Skyrim Civil War and saved the current Kalpa from being eaten. Power. Can carry and swing around great swords, warhammers, and axes with ease. Has no issue with lifting large logs. As Vampire Lord, can lift giants with telekinesis. Can break a skeleton to pieces with a single swing. Can break a dragon's skull by bludgeoning it. Defeated Alduin in single combat at the throw of the world after his power had waxed for the duration of the events of Skyrim. They once more defeated him and then once more defeat. Wait, is that a grammar error? No. Yeah.
They once more defeated him. So
Then once more.
the Dragonborn doesn't have a confirmed gender, so we just used that.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. Although I think then once more defeated him is actually better there, but that's fine. And killed him permanently. Wait, I thought you said it was an online.
Oh no, he's mentioned online. Online takes place before Skyrim.
Oh.
So
Okay.
it's like in the second era, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Alduin cannot possibly be in that game because he got BFR'd temporally from like prior to the events of that game directly into the events of Skyrim.
All right.
Skyrim is like the latest in the timeline.
All right. So Dovahkiin defeat. Really? All right. I'll keep that in mind. Dovahkiin defeated Mirak in single combat. All right. Even as he was absorbing souls to gain more power. Pretty good. That's actually pretty good. As second most powerful Dragonborn of all time, likely only exceeded by Tibur Septim. Wait, Mirak isn't the strongest.
Or Talos.
Mirak isn't the strongest Dragonborn.
Talos would kick Mirak's butt.
Talos is a Dragonborn? I thought he was just a fucking Nord.
No, Talos is an amalgamation of different people, including Tibur Septim, who also learned the way of the voice.
Right. 3 people in one. He was the first Dragonborn. Yeah, that's why I thought he was like the strongest, but fair enough.
Mirak is like really high up there, but he would get fodderized by Talos.
Superior to the full Maya the Greybeards, who can shake the world by merely speaking and took a pledge of silence for even a whisper could kill someone untrained in the voice. Can create massive storms that extend over the entire horizon of the throw of the world. 97.4 petatons of TNT. Wow, you aren't even fucking trying. This is all. Oh my. Okay, fair enough.
I told you the best stuff is in scaling.
You guys need to stop being so horny. What the hell is this picture?
It's an official card from Elder Scrolls Legends.
Okay, Elder Scrolls need to stop being so horny. This is why you get raped to become a vampire. It's not okay. Other major lightning-based spells.
What the hell is wrong with you?
I'm right! And also, that picture is unwholesome. Good thing I am wholesome. Has access to spells to be stated to be sunlight, can potentially outrun Alduin's meteor storm. Objects such as shouting stars, comets, and meteors are stated to come from...
Shooting stars, not shouting stars, Mr. English major.
Hey, fuck off. I'm like literally reading it from like a foot away. Can also... Yeah, over a foot away. Fuck you. Objects such as... can also react and dodge these in Sovereigngrad, which is in the...
Theorius, where magic comes from.
Theorius. Can react to keep pace with Odving, who can cross Skyrim in seconds. That's pretty good. Or Odving, whatever. Can dodge arrows in-game. Can keep pace with lesser vampires who move faster and normal eye can track. Infinite speeds in. Rolling on floor laughing. Whatever. Alright, so durability. 1.9 teratons of TNT. That's disgusting. Scaling. Alright, so this is the new section you said, right?
Yes.
First flame. The chosen undead is capable of fueling and sustaining the first flame for an extended period of time using their soul. For all of these, see before the verdicts. The first flame brought disparity into the world and sustains its own existence and all heat in the universe, possibly including all stars. The first flame brought time into existence, keeps it from breaking down, thus potentially extending to other worlds / timelines. Yeah, I actually kind of ended up changing my stance a little bit on where Dark Souls scales, because I don't think Unity Plus is fair game, because it doesn't sustain creation, it just sustains time.
Well, I'm seeing, who was this? Ezio in the Dark Souls scaling section mentioning that the game guides have stuff for, like, the Abyss possibly being its own dimension.
I mean, like, even then, like, no one would scale to it, because holding back the Abyss, it doesn't really hold them back.
Monis is stated to have made the Abyss in the compendium.
I'm listening.
Included as a feat, but I was not aware of the whole dimension stuff.
Cypher, so. I sent you. Cyber, look at it. So apparently he sent you something.
I read it.
Alright, Gwyn the Chosen Undead defeated the hollow-like version of Gwyn of the Soul Spear. Sorcery said to be on par with Gwyn's lightning. Even in his hollow state, Gwyn survived for over 1,000 years, kindling the first flame. You think he just smelled like burnt jerky in there when you go in there? Like, cause like, you know, like it's just been cooking there for like centuries. Bed of Chaos, not even worth discussing. I'm not even gonna look at that. Oh, gigatons and kilotons of TNT, still less than teratons, so it's completely worthless. Lord Souls, a single dragon like Helmus is strong enough that all of our Londo feel to provoke it. Oh yeah, it never occurred to me that those fuckers missed quite a few dragons actually. Dark Soul, chosen to death 3 Lord Souls. The Dark Soul is comparable to a Lord Soul in power, provides the energy to make a painted world before the verdict. Madness, chosen to defeated. Madness was creating the Abyss, a separate plane of existence, which would destroy the entirety of Olaceal, whatever. Artorias could cleave a dragon's head off with a single strike. Artorias could repeatedly clash with Black Knight Arkin, who even cutting his shield clean in two. 4 Knights of Gwyn, alright, Smug, anything worth discussing. Nameless King, chosen and dead on par with pre-endgame Ashen One, who... Whoa there, buckaroo!
Okay, yeah. So, the argument here is very simple. I brought this up earlier to Mangler. So, scaling to Ashen One, the argument is basically, so, you're aware of the ending in DS3 when the Ashen One, if you choose to, kindle the flame?
Yeah.
So, the flame is kind of like, in such a state by 3 that the reaction the Ashen One provokes is, really small. The argument was the Chosen Undead, when, kindling the flame in DS1, gets a much larger reaction from it, like a larger flare to the point where it even causes a fire explosion in the in the kiln. So the argument is that the flame is weakened in DS3. It's more close. I mean, I wouldn't say it's in its prime in DS1, but it's definitely in a state where see you or chosen undead kindling,
It
and
says
it brings out a
pre-endgame.
larger reaction. Then the next argument would be Soul of Cinder would be the biggest counter to this. So the argument for Soul of Cinder would be that it's like an amalgamation of the souls that have been burned, kindling the first flame. So it's hard to say they're necessarily in their prime. If that's the case, and if we say Chosen Undead is a part of the Soul of Cinder, it would just mean Soul of Cinder has like a weakened Chosen Undead that makes a part of it, and not necessarily them at their prime. So it is iffy, I agree, but the argument is that like should scale to like easily to like at least the beginning of game Ashen one,
No,
and then if you want to scale to like end of game, huh?
You misunderstand. My position is the Ashen one is garbage in comparison to the Chosen Undead.
Also, wait, you agree with the notion that the Ashen one is weaker?
Well, so my position is more so that I think all the Dark Souls characters are for the most part comparable to each other. I genuinely think that the idea that they're vastly stronger or vastly weaker is kind of a little iffy when they're all fighting beings of comparable power.
I'm surprised you have that reaction. I know that VSB holds like Ashen one on a pedestal as being like vastly above Chosen Undead.
Listen. So the only version of Ashen one you can argue is, I wouldn't say vastly above, because we don't even know where the Soul of Cinder scales to. We just know it has like all the skills of the Lords of Cinder. It doesn't. I don't think it states has all their power, but even if it did, it's fucking dying by the time you fight it. You never fight a prime Soul of Cinder. It's like literally just like, everyone else couldn't fight you, so I'm here to test you. Get the fuck over here.
Surprised to get that reaction from you. Not necessarily a bad thing.
No. Yeah, like I don't mind. I don't mind scaling that. The only version I think you could argue is stronger, but I wouldn't say like vastly, is just the one at the post game where he fights like fucking what's his face, Slave Knight Gale at the end of the world. That's like the only one I think you'd say is stronger, but like I don't really think like, unless there's a statement I'm missing, I don't think there's any evidence to suggest the Dark Souls protagonists are vastly stronger or weaker than each other. Anyways.
You want to continue going through feats? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
we'll just skip the Ashen one, or I guess we'll do Defeat of the Soul of Cinder. Wait, Gale. Motherfucker, isn't Gale after the Soul of Cinder? Don't you fight him after?
I think the argument is more so for Gale's speed.
Oh, okay.
Gale has a lightning timing feat.
Yeah, because Gale's lightning, for some fucking reason, is like the only one people accept is actually natural lightning, because it comes from the sky. I'm sorry.
There's more so. It's not calcing the lightning. It's calcing Gale's movement in tandem with the lightning.
Yeah. All right. So can find part of Gale can move sword strikes, time cloud the ground lightning. Defeated the Soul of Sin. They don't have any of the hacks.
This is talking about the Ashen one. No. This is okay. So this is okay. If you check the scaling section, it says at the beginning why the Chosen Undead scales, and then it breaks down all the feats of the character they supposedly scale to, right?
Right.
So this is just talking about the Ashen one.
All right. Let's move on to the last Dragonborn, because I know fuck all about Skyrim.
Oh god, this one might be. I'm gonna have to stay awake for this. All right, where do you want to start?
Wait. Mirik is more powerful than Alduin?
Mirak is stated on the official website to be the strongest adversary the Dragonborn has ever fought.
Oh no! All right. Damn. Okay. Well, my boy Mirak gained them points up at least. Okay, the Dovahkiin kills him. Burn the Jills, unbounded by time away with his fire breath. The Jills are a race of female dragons known colloquially as the Minute Menders. They repair damage caused within Moondic time by dragon breaks. These Jills have also fought against the Hiss and endured 16-dimensional attacks.
Yeah, this is really stupid. It's from a short story called Kin Moon, where we're told that the get attacked by 16th dimensional math.
Oh my god, I thought he was fucking kidding.
No, I'm not joking. Hold on, let me read this, because they explicitly say 16th dimensional. Hold on. I want to read this to you. Armada fired an artillery barrage of 16th dimensional mathematics at their Jillian enemies. Immiscipoint detonations tripled across the exag and its church satellites like some garnish telecillian hologram, only without the irony.
Bro, he could have just thrown calculus at them and it would have done the same amount of damage.
Oh my god, I can't. I don't think any of the verdict
like seriously uses that one, but it's worth mentioning.
Oh, it's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Is the firstborn of Akatosh one of his major aspects that was split away, and the most powerful of all dragons is the leader of their civilization? Well, so read my comments. Doesn't count, Cyber, because you move less than an inch, therefore it is not valid. A VSB admin reads like how you must write.
What are you talking about?
Oh, he's talking about the lightning speed, because apparently he only moves an inch during the lightning strike, therefore it's not valid. The story takes place super far into the future too. Reads like how you write must be familiar. Kyle, my books are not that bad. Fuck you. I'm keeping that 60th dimensional math for later. Was so powerful that the ancient tongues were unable to slay him, and they were forced to banish him from time with the use of an Elder Scroll. 8 years off of the Nordic population's lifespan and reduced them all to the age of 6. What the fuck?
Yeah, there was a short story where he said "screw you guys" and he ate their age.
Oddly specific. I'm gonna have to call CCP on his ass, but okay. His mere presence at the end of the Kalpa causes dragon breaks to occur, a temporal phenomenon which linear time seems to be regressive back to timelessness of the Dawn era, so infinite speed, or inaccessible speed, good shit. Everything else devours is destroyed and annihilated from existence. As Alduin devours souls, he ascends in power and his size increases until he eventually reaches a state where he can devour, nurn, whole, and swallow the Kalpic time of law of Akatosh. Doing those Arkeli numbers, apparently. Returning Mundus to Dawn era, where the cycle begins anew. Notably, time is not merely a line as mortals experience it, but contains higher depths and infinitely many angles of progressively non-linear time. During the events of Skyrim and the Civil War, Alduin's power was waxing for the whole duration as he devoured souls fed to him in consequence of the war's casualties. Alduin can fly through the currents of time. Oh, measurable, alright. During the events of
Alduaga.
Thank you. Alduaga. It was Alduin who doomed Dagon to the void and made him into a Daedric prince. Oh, well, that didn't fucking work out well for Alduin. Dagon lives in fear of Alduin, only acting when he is sleeping. Never mind, he's a bitch. Every fight Dagon has with Alduin ends with the prince's defeat. So he's just a bitch.
To Dagon's credit, the same story also has a statement that Dagon is the only one of the Daedric princes who has the balls to even try and fight Alduin.
All right. That's all right. So, gets his cheeks clapped, but he just gets up ready for round 2. All right, I can respect that. Alduin is capable of doing battle with Shor, who terrified Dagon enough to force him to flee to oblivion. Still kind of a bitch, though, huh? He's got balls, just not all there. The act of stirring in his sleep can potentially destroy the world. Is that the world as in, like, the planet you're on? Or is that, like, the...
I don't think they specify for that one.
Alright. After acquiring power from Hermoris Mora, the Dragonborn managed to defeat Mirak. I mean, Dagon is strong compared to everyone else. Fair enough. After defeating Mirak, he also absorbed his soul, assimilating his power as well as the knowledge he accumulated throughout the span of his life. Of course he fucking did! Split Soulstone from Skyrim's mainland by shouting. Was so powerful he stomped the Dovahkiin in their first encounter while stating he could himself have defeated Alduin. The Dovahkiin needed Hermes Mora's black boots to become strong enough to match him. Or black bugs, not black boots. Remained within Oppo for
That one's not that new. None of those really are AP stuff. You can go to the next character.
The hero of Kavash. Like the Vistage, the hero of Kavash is capable of fighting and defeating Manimarco. Mirak is also likely more powerful than Mancor Camoron due to him remaining...
He was the main bad guy of Oblivion besides Mehrunes Dagon. He's the guy you mentioned earlier when we were talking about Mehrunes dagger or razor. The guy who retconned his own history. You brought up the whole
the daughter fucker. Okay, thank you. The Dovahkiin can also mantle... not the phrase I wanted to say after just mentioning the guy who fucks his daughter, but okay. Can also mantle Pelinal, much like the champion of Syria. That is a terrible sentence after what I said. Alexander? No, not like that, Kyle. At least not yet. Fallen defeated Mancor Camoran, a powerful mage and servant of Mehrunes Dagon, who's powerful enough to create sustain Ger Alada. That's a very wholesome thing to say.
So
This plane is like you can lowball it. It's like a he calls it paradise is another name for it. It's like a pocket dimension with a sun in it. Um, Debatable if it's like sun as in like the holes in Aetherius or if it's actually meant to be a sun, but it is like real. Um, it's like meant to be like his own personal version of heaven, and he sustains it. The moment he dies, it collapses.
I see. All right. White Strake, a being of such power that he could cleave months of time out of existence due to sheer rage and conquered the whole of Tamriel by itself. Defeated.
Okay, so Peladile Whitestrake is jokingly known as the Doomslayer of Elder Scrolls because he has rage issues.
Yeah, but we might have actually found someone who could beat the Doomslayer even with his wank. Oh, I mean scaling. Where did that come from?
Him. We'll talk another time.
All right. Shouldn't it be dismantled? What dismantled?
Mantle? What are you talking about?
That's what Zenit's saying. Shouldn't it be dismantled? He wrecked them. He dismantled them. Oh, okay. For the time. I guess not cleave. Dismantle, I guess is what he's saying.
If I remember right, they mentioned hold on, let me read while you read.
Alright. Nerva is capable of fighting Hurricane as he had manifested the Mundus, and the Dovahkiin can similarly slay Barbos with the Rueful Axe, even at low levels.
Oh, this was a cleave, I think.
The Dovahkiin can also wield Keening without the protection of Wraithguard, an act which would cause the Nareen to perish instantly. Alduin is capable of fighting Short at the beginning of time, the Lorcan, whose heart gave Daggerdur and the ALMSIV.
You might want to just skip to the Vestige.
Alright, to the Vestige we go. The Vestige, the dragons of elsewhere.
You know, you can just skip to the last two sentences of the scaling section. There's literally two statements from the developers that the Vestige is weaker than the Dragonborn.
Alright. There are also direct statements from the developers that the Vestige is weaker than the Dragonborn. 903 for the first link. So then
903 for the first. If you want to check the link, you might want to just go to the second link. It's the most direct.
Alright, let me click on this real quickly.
Highlighted.
What do you mean age Why do I need why do I need age verification? Alright, Mon.
It's just Imgur. Well, that's weird.
No, it took me to the Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh, wait, did you click the second link or the first one?
I clicked the second link.
Oh, you might want to click the third. My bad, there's 3 of them.
Alright, okay, there we go.
Click the third one. It's an Imgur. It just collects what it says.
Oh, gee, lost shit. Doomslayer preferred day slow as balls. Alright, finally, Elder Scrolls, something I want to do for a long time. Actually, got onto it. Do you guys highlight it? There we go. Oh,
and the Imgur should be highlighted.
Yeah, you're not Dovahkiin. You don't have the food sword out. Right. You don't have the tools to kind of go toe to toe with the dragons. So in Elder Scrolls Online, the dragons are going to be that much more difficult. And you're going to need some friends. And you're going to need to figure out ways to deal with these threats. Okay, so these guys are just confirmed to be weaker because they can't take on dragons.
And he has a lot of good feats.
Fought against the corrupted Earthborns of... Okay, what's the best one here specifically so we can save some time here?
You want... capable of tossing spears. This is a really good one. This one is a really good, infinite stuff.
Capable of tossing spears into the sun of Aetherius and calling down meteors from the constellations, which are at infinite distance away from Nirn, residing in spaces that transcend... What? Bro, what the fuck?
This really should be an immeasurable, but you know how
yeah,
there's discrepancy with infinite and immeasurable these days.
Yeah.
But so this is so stupid. There's a statement for the meteor spell that they're literally just from the sun, and then the Nova spell are stated to be fragments of the sun, and then the spears go to the sun, the constellations and come back down, and in game you can literally just deflect. Especially the meteor spell while it's coming down.
Just fucking smack into the sun.
Yeah. Another one here is the one right below it. You can there's characters that can mess with the constellations, and you fight the actual constellations themselves. They come down as beings, manifestations called celestials.
No big deal. Just deflecting MFTL rocks. These rocks wouldn't be MFTL. If there's an infinite distance they're crossing, they're at least infinite speed. And they technically...
Yeah, it's explicitly stated that like the distance, and
Well,
technically it would be more because like if you look at the cosmologies, like you have Mundus, which is like the multiverse, where Nirn is like in the center, right?
yeah.
Then you have like what was the layer above it? There was like another layer, and then eventually like Oblivion and the Aetherius. It's like, yeah, it really should be more like immeasurable.
This is fucking ridiculous. Holy shit. Yeah, so you scale the 17 Daedric princes. I'm not going to get into that because Alduin's just stronger than them.
You can probably skip the Daedric section. I don't really agree with it, but it is what it is. I mean, I guess if you say that Alduin like kicks Mayor's Dagon's butt, I guess it's fine.
I'll say, yeah, so that gets into the whole fucking can of worms of is Alduin weaker during Skyrim or not. Alright, the Dovahkiin is referred to as the second most powerful card.
Someone asked earlier if we said 1B. Like the Daedric princes are at least scaled to like high 1B here.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, he would just massively upscale above them. Or, yeah, massively, I guess.
If you think Alduin does like kick Dagon's ass, then yeah, Dagon would like Alduin would be like high 1B. I mean, there is an argument already in the cosmology section for like high 1B Alduin. The argument is that Alduin is heavily implied by like Word of God and like books in online that like he consumes Mundus, which is like the multiverse.
Yeah.
But the problem is that could also hold within itself like infinite higher spatial dimensions. Potentially, it's debatable. Oblivion is explicitly stated to have infinite higher dimensions, but it's debatable if Mundus does have it. At minimum, it'd be like a tier 2 feat, and it's possibly a tier 1 feat.
Oh, that's an old meme. Oh, that's an old one. Oh, the Skyrim soldiers. That's an old meme.
Yeah.
As powerful as Dragonborn is, the playful started Dragonborn is not infallible. The enchantments and also their weapons have a limited charge. Okay, clearly Cyber just sucks ass at enchanting in Skyrim. Where's the duplication glitch? Where's the duplication information? Where is it? Is that not canon? Duping all my items? Where is it, Cyber? Tell me where the duping is.
You know, I was gonna say maybe you should read all the thing about canon, and you really should, because it goes on to like if people have issues with using Word of God, that's what the whole section is.
Not
But
tonight.
like, cosmology is huge, and I really need to go to sleep soon. So,
Well,
what do you want to do?
We're gonna skip all this author stuff. We're just gonna go straight into cosmology, and we'll finish it off there. How dead are you?
Maybe you should just go to Alduin because cosmology is so large.
All
You
right.
could skip to Alduin, honestly.
Okay, so fucking, how far down is this shit?
I told you it's 33 pages.
No, not cosmology. The fucking author statements. All right, so we'll skip for now and just go to Alduin because Cyber's got a dip. Because he actually does go somewhere in the morning. So let me just type in Alduin real quickly.
Not a good idea. You should have typed in World Eater. No. Dang, damn it. Okay, you want to scroll down to a picture of a dragon breathing fire.
Yeah. That's why, because it's the next one. It's the next. Why is Alduin mentioned 181 times? All right, fuck it. Moving on. All right. Perhaps
no
the
one
most
mentioned
controversial bit of the Elder Scrolls scaling, Skyrim proposes the notion that Alduin is fated to end the world. More specifically, he brings an end to the current Kalpa and causes the world to be born anew. The purpose of this section is to go over the context mechanics regarding the end of the Kalpa caused by Alduin. To start off, Skyrim, the game, has several quotes about Alduin ending the world. Alright, we're going to skip these. Alright. How does one eat the world? When you consider a place like Tamriel, sometimes it's best to take titles literally. Alduin's a world eater. It's not just going to end all... It's going to be the end of all...
You've read that quote already,
Right,
yeah.
alright.
We included it for completion's sake.
Alright, the Art of Skyrim. Alduin's Wall is a physical representation of the main story of Skyrim. It depicts Alduin in the past destroying the world. A group of heroes banding together to banish him and prophesy Dovahkiin will stand against him. Alduin World Eater. Alduin is a Nordic variation of Akatosh and only specifically resembles its counterpart of the Nine Divines. For example, Alduin's Subrit, the World Eater, comes from myths that depict him as a horrible ravaging firestorm that destroyed the last world to begin this one. Nor is therefore see. Alright, so this is all just saying the same shit. Where do we get to the scaling? Mechanics of consumption.
Scaling is in mechanics, and then after the next section after.
Alright, the story of the eating birth of Dagon depicts Alduin consuming Nirn bit by bit, increasing in size from doing so. Eventually, Alduin becomes large enough to devour Nirn in one fell swoop. In the Alduga, Alduin is described as this colossal beast that can devour whole nations, or devour, yeah, whatever, whose shadows are draped over all four cardinal directions, with nostrils so big that whole farms can fit inside it. This is Alduin in his world eater state. The Alduga says that Alduin always eats the Nords first, implying this devouring starts on a smaller scale and eventually eats the entire world. Elder Scrolls Online adds that the way the world eater role works is that Alduin consumes a large quantity of souls, which then increases his size to consume the world. Alright. The game also devours souls of the dead. Alright, we'll just skip this. This is an essential. Let's see here. If I tell you face Alduin at the end of the game, Alduin is consuming those souls to reach the peak of his power. My belly is full, the souls of your fellow mortals, Dovahkiin. Alright, yeah, his belly is full. Fair enough. He serves a lot of headache lull, but Cyber still told you a lot of the weird crazy stuff about the cosmology. Yeah, that just sounds fucking silly. Alright. Lauren Struck compared Alduin's return in scope to a planes meld, Oblivion, Invasion, or Dragon Break, as beings of mythological levels can change reality in big ways. Alright. The Kelpic cycle. The only Kalpas I know are in SMT3. Given Alduin devours the entire Kalpa, it very possibly devours all of Mundus as well. Divot Fears suggests that Mundus also goes through the same Kelpic cycle Nirn goes through. Is this a character in the story, or is this a writer?
Yes, this is a character in the story. Very knowledgeable one of the more powerful mages.
Alright, that seems fair. Furthermore, Michael Kirkbrink has said the following: assume the dawn era, okay. Once Alduin devours the Kalpa, existence return to the Dawn era, where the convention between the Etada, yeah, that's not going to be pronounced correctly, at the Tower of Adimonti, or Montia.
So, basically, this is just like the convention of the Aedra of originally when they meet in order to punish Lorkhan for tricking them.
Alright.
The convention happens again and again and again at the every time the Kalpa resets.
Alright. The spokes are the 8 components of chaos, as yet solidified by the law of time. Static change, if you will, something the lizard gods refer to as striking. This is a reptile wheel code. Okay. Thus, logically follows that Alduin, in fact, devours the entire Mundus, and he is eating the entire Kalpa. The actual Ardri are affected in the process. Alduin devouring the Kalpa would effectively be the same thing described here. He returns Mundus to the Dawn Era before time and space were established, consuming Mundus would entail consuming the infinite-sized planets within it, and at the very least breaking the spokes off the wheel in the process. Alduin then ushers in the next cycle, and thus the next convention of Audra. Alright. Yeah, that seems pretty fine. And then you just have character scale above this. The planets aren't actually planets. Yeah, I know, I remember Cyber mentioned their infinite planes of reality or whatever. Worlding being very literal sense how the reset isn't really a time reset. It's just more so him returning things to a more chaotic, unstructured state, adding to the fact that all of the spokes of the wheel are necessary for it not to dissolve back into chaos. As an example, the middle dome is described as untime, which implies an absence of the domain of Akatosh, but also an unplace, which in turn would be Kierna's domain, and devoid of math, which would be Juliano's domain.
Those are the part of the 9 divines. Like Akatosh is responsible for time.
So then, just to be clear here, are you suggesting that Aldrin would devour
the
Akatosh?
Aedra themselves are not necessarily consumed. Okay. There is I think there's a piece of Skyrim where it says Talos is like the only one that's unaffected, but it would be really weird if he ate them. I think there's like a statement, in fact, that says that like they're not. What could be argued is that the convention happens again, which means that the Mundus itself ends up like when he eats all of it. Losing space, time, and math, and all how the whole untime, unplace, and all of that. There is an argument that Alduin, all he has to do is eat the planet to cause this, because the towers, if you remember, I mentioned, are like linchpins. They keep Mundus together.
Yeah.
So if he eats the planet, when the multiverse go with it, that's a very good argument. In fact, when I saw it, but there is one problem. The towers are metaphysical too. They don't just exist on Nirn. They exist across all space and time and all realities. So you can get into a debate on eating Nirn and just destroying their physical presence there would even really cause the end of Mundus. In Elder Scrolls Online, one of the things Molag Bal does is try to move Nirn out of Mundus and take it to his realm of Cold Harbor. And it's also stated that later on, one of the things he's considering is destroying the towers, which would cause the end of Mundus. I think we address this later on here in this section. debatable. You could get into art debates whether or not like um yeah, but like we get into like destroying powers are enough. Destroying towers is not a simple feat that can be accomplished so easily. The attempt by Cameron in Oblivion required him to summon Dagon into Mundus completely, and Kano tried to use the Eye of Magnus to do so, which is a creation of the source of magic itself. It being a matter of a chain reaction is unlikely. Alduin would still need to have the power to end the convention. So the argument we came up with, or one of the arguments was, powers are really durable, like in a metaphysical sense. If Alduin is truly eating them, you'd probably still need enough energy that it can like nuke Mundus to destroy the towers.
Yes.
Um, so it would still be like multi or whatever, even without having to like eat all of Mundus. The point is, still, in order to cause the chain reaction, he'd still have to be strong enough to destroy the realm itself.
So then, all right. That just scales massively higher than I think anything in Dark Souls. Even if you wank the first flame to like its highest possible interpretation. But so then, because you're already gonna head out, so I'll just ask this: assuming you scale them to their more moderate, non-cosmology level scaling, would you just say that Alduin's Devour statement would also just include space then as well?
Well, if you did that, let's do low ends. The lowest end you can do for the Dragonborn is maybe like the Nameless King Storm, which is like gigatons, if I'm not mistaken, to teratons. And like the lowest interpretation of the first flame, the lowest is like if you assume like kindling the fire is just like sustaining the luminosity of the sun, which was like 93 petatons.
Yeah.
Um, be around close to like or the shaking of the world and like storm call. Uh, so they'd be relative-ish. Um, Mid ends, I guess, would be like if you assume the star that Cameron made, Paradise, is actually more like an IRL star rather than being like a whole Sirius. Then like if you argue the first plane just sustains the sun. Um, One argument that Team Chosen Undead did was that like the Dark Soul is technically one of the Lord Souls that came from the first flame, and there were four of them, and the argument would be that they should all be relative. You'd probably argue the Dark Soul is stronger, but like the argument was that like it should be relative. The Dark Soul is the pigment that is used to like make a new painted world by the painter
Yeah.
in Dark Souls 3. And like the official design book for Dark Souls 3 for Arendelle has like lighting in the sky, implying that there's probably a celestial star, like a star, like for lighting. Like the argument would be that like at least the painted world has a star. Um, then the argument would be the chosen undead eventually like obtains three Lord Souls. Although the argument is weird because like you don't absorb the Lord Souls necessarily, you feed them to the Lord vessel later on and place it in.
Yeah. No,
So I don't know
I
if you
understand.
could say that they're three times stronger than the Dark Soul or whatever.
Yeah. Oh wait, I thought Giant Yorm was a Lord of Cinder, so he was still powerful enough to link the flame. He just couldn't. Actually, you could make an argument that like that actually would mean he's stronger than the others because he blew up an entire kingdom with his explosion.
Maybe. Their higher ends would be like, I mean, you know them, like
Yeah.
first flame sustaining not just the sun, but maybe all the stars because of like it bringing heat into existence and light is time, so it sustains all of light. I mean, time for the universe, maybe other timelines. It's weird because like Miyazaki does have a statement that like, Solar, if you like complete his quest, he lights the first flame of his own world.
Yeah. So
That's
the first
really
flame
weird.
only lights if you're arguing one. It only lights one universe because there's multiple first flames. Because every player story in Dark Souls just applied to be a different universe or a different timeline.
Oh, the Japanese version of like the game like uses the word Sekai when Solar is talking about other worlds, which I mean again just means world or like world, society, and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
Um,
like in the context of Dark Souls, I think it's fair to say it's a completely separate like dimension. I doubt it's a separate planet.
I'm fine with it being in that. My quarry is if like there's truly only one like first flame across all
No, I disagree with
of the
that
worlds, or
notion.
if it's like,
Yeah, I
huh?
personally well, Dark Souls 3 kind of supports that a little bit. Because Dark Souls 3 has character. Well, that depends. Do you believe Dark Souls 3 takes place after Dark Souls 2, or do you think Dark Souls 2 just like isn't part of the main timeline?
I think Dark Souls 2 is part of the main timeline. Like, there's like references to it.
Yeah, because Dark Souls 3 references it, so this depends where you want to put Dark Souls 2. Because if you put Dark Souls 2 as canon to the main timeline, then like yeah, there's one universe. If you
You know,
don't,
there's some people who argue it's not canon. I think it's canon.
well, yeah, I mean, there's no reason to say it's not canon. People in Dark Souls 2 appear in Dark Souls 3. Oh yeah, but okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just skip down to the verdicts because we know most of this already, just to save some time. That way, if you want to say anything, conclusion, advantages, yeah. So
I
basically,
wrote the Chosen Undead verdict, but I was really tired when I wrote it, and I kind of not really satisfied with it. I feel some of the points in there are fair, like arguing that maybe Alduin does a chain reaction to destroy Mundus, or like Nern, at least in like the short story that Adudaga is like eaten over time. And that, so you would have to take that into account. And stuff like okay, so one of the things I wanted to represent was Team Chosen Undead was a little iffy on Ariel's bow, specifically the argument that like shooting an arrow into the sun would scale to like the Dragonborn because it's like an enchanted bow. You can't do that without that bow. If you use those arrows in any other bow, you can't shoot them to the sun.
yeah.
Right? I think it's a non-point though, because they scale to the Vestige, who has explicit, like immeasurable or infinite scaling with like the meteors, and like Alduin flies through time, so it's like whatever. If you think Alduin flying through time is like hyperbolic or whatever, I know some people argue that, not on the blog, but I know some people don't. Really
Yeah,
use it.
I'm a little more loose about that. Like I'm not too strict about statements. If you got a statement
Okay.
saying it, like I'm fine.
I don't think it would even matter. Like Nova, Meteor, and the Spear Shards from like online are so explicit. Like infinite or immeasurable speed feats that you're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, I know.
No, I think that like at lower ends, the Chosen Undead has a really good chance. Minus like if you really kind of like are lit are a bit like lenient with like tonal magic properties of like the Thuum.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could maybe argue Ben Will might be better than the Chosen Undead's mental resistance. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if Chosen Dead has any like mental resistance.
Because
or-
one of the arguments proposed was like maybe Ben Will can be used on the Chosen Undead to like make them lose their will, so that they hollow, and once they hollow, they're kind of mindless. They can be mindless.
But Ben Will is temporary, isn't it?
Hollowing can be undone,
Yeah.
especially if they have humanity. I recommend you double check the Dragonborn verdict. That I kind of need to go.
Yeah.
The Chosen Undead one's main win con was that I told you earlier I don't agree with the Alduin argument for like soul resistance.
Yeah.
There's probably other ones, but the ones at least mentioned in the blog I don't really buy. So the argument would be equating like humanity to soul, and then like the Dark Hand is a really good weapon to use against the Dragonborn.
Aye, nice. 2 Dragon Dogma votes. Good shit, Cyber. Good shit.
I voted for the based. That's why I mentioned Dragonborn. Anyways, I don't know if my comments a word of God pissed people off. It's just I feel that two of them are different beasts.
You're not gonna. I'll say you're not gonna win that argument with these people. But thank you, Cyber, for your time. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people enjoyed it. A lot of questions went around. I'm gonna be on the stream in a few minutes. I might start another one up later. But you take care, man. You have yourself a nice night.
You as well. See ya.
Laters. Okay, so that was Let me see this. Okay, yeah. So honestly, after hearing all that shit about fucking Skyrim, yeah, this matchup is kind of fucked. Yeah, this is fucked. The Elder Scrolls Local Bird? No, for reals. Yeah, this is a hard fucking stomp. Like I said before, yes, Cypher, apparently you were right. Who could have guessed? So, I mean, it depends on what that battle team buys. I don't think it does. I think even on a surface level, the Skyrim guy not only scales better, but the actual abilities and hacks that the fucking Dovahkiin has, even if you make them comparable, he's got a better arsenal. Your only argument, if let's assume they're comparable, let's assume they're equalized, your only argument for Chosen Undead winning this fight specifically is if you just argue he's a better fighter than the Dovahkiin. Which I think you can make that argument, but that's like fucking it. Well, actually, no. There's a good chance the Dovahkiin the Dragonborn doesn't actually have a way to kill him, actually. Or you still want to say their stats are nearly equal? Alright, let's look at their advantages. I'm going to say it like this. I don't think he has a specific way to actually fucking kill him. Yeah, no, if he doesn't kill him and they're comparable, then yeah, you would just argue the Chosen Undead wins through a battle of attrition. They ever doing such shit with the bow in the Dragonborn preview, so they might get crazy with it. They didn't get the Chosen Undead, the hexes, nor any of the stupid bearer of the curse shit has. No, yeah, so honestly, I think given what we've seen here, I think this is a pretty easy stomp in the Dragonborn's favor, unless you argue for the premise that the Dragonborn cannot kill the Chosen Undead. At that point, unless you're arguing for higher dimensional scaling Dragonborn, it is only a matter of time before the Chosen Undead wins. But if they're arguing infinite, can you get infinite speed Dark Souls at any point? Can you argue for infinite speed Void? Or Abyss? Not Void, sorry. I've been playing too much Other Side. Can you argue for infinite speed Abyss? Because if you can argue for... Well, I mean, even then, like... You can make an argument that the infinite speed feats here. Ben Will is a win con. Also remember that thing Cyber said about the Razor and it cutting shit conceptually. That is true. Yeah, sorry. I was too focused on the guy fucking his own daughter. My apologies. The Abyss is a place in Dark Souls that has a lot of darkness. Infinite range laser for Freya? Really? I don't know, Ben. I'm going to be honest here. I don't think Ben Will is a solid win con. Because all Ben Will is taking control of somebody for a time and then restoring their freedom afterwards. I don't think Ben Will would actually like make him instantly hollow. What does Alexander have to do with this? Shut the fuck up, Kyle. So, overall, I'm going to say... I mean, they only resurrect if they choose. That is true, but I don't think Ben Will would work once you kill him. I think Ben Will's iffy. The conceptual dagger, I think, is your best argument. I think that for sure is a solid argument to be made because I don't think the Chosen Undead resist conceptual manipulation. But yeah, I don't think Ben Will would actually work because some of the fucking guys you kill in Dark Souls 1 don't have a will anymore. So I don't think that's actually a very solid argument personally. But I can see people making that argument. I can't click anything else because if I click anything else, you guys might see something that might get me kicked off YouTube. So, yeah, I'm gonna be honest here. I think the Chosen Undead got a lot more votes than I was expecting. I'll be honest. I also got a lot more for the Dragonborn's favor. He's got a lot better arguments overall. Now, the real question is, does he beat Dragon's Dogma? Now, that's an interesting question. Let me tell you the answer. No. Or does he? Dun, dun, dun. Could it be unwholesome things? Everything I do is wholesome. Ask Newhin. Everything I touch, wholesome. Everything I write, wholesome. Did he become like a god at the end? The Arisen? Yeah, the Arisen becomes God at the end of his world. Yeah, Devil went and killed God. Low godly region for the Arisen. It really depends. If the Arisen resists conceptual manipulation, then like I think the Arisen could beat the Dragonborn just through a battle of like fucking attrition. How powerful is Dragon's Dogma? Devil go. No, because the dragon statements are also a little cracked too. But yeah. So overall, I think the Dragonborn has an actual way to win the fight. I think the Dragonborn just scales vastly superior, and I don't think it matters why couldn't a death battle have been chosen in Death versus the Hunter. He doesn't revive himself from getting instantly killed by the conceptual death tax from death. You right? Yeah, no. So overall, I'm gonna say here's my verdict. If Dimensional Tyranny is evolved, Dragonborn fucking claps Dark Souls. If it's more comparable, Dragonborn has a really good shot, but I can see Dark Souls taking that. And if Dragon's Dogma gets thrown in, I'm thinking Dragon's Dogma is sweeping, unless you give Dimensional Tyranny to Dragonborn, at which point, inconclusive. If stats are comparable, like if we put all three of these guys in the room, stats are comparable, Dragon's Dogma is just fucking sweeping. He's gonna use the Chosen Undead as a fucking weapon. So overall, I think this makes a really solid case for Dragonborn. Low 1C Dragon's Dogma. Yeah, but you're not arguing low 1C for fucking Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls is hitting like at least 1B. If we're arguing 16th Dimensional Dragonborn, and that's a low end if we're being honest based on what was talked about. If we're arguing 16th Dimensional fucking Dragonborn, then yeah, he stomps. Quick, someone go to the From Software and force them to make a guidebook saying Chosen Undead is higher dimensional. Bro, Chosen Undead ain't even uni. I'll buy a math stuff personally. Dragonborn versus Bayonetta. Assuming we both get them higher dimensional, like scaling, Dragonborn versus Bayonetta, let's equal. Fuck, even if you equalize it, I think Dragonborn beats Bayonetta, unironically. I think Dragonborn just got better abilities across the board. I think this actually might be a win for the Dragonborn. Yeah, I think even without dimensional scaling, the Dragonborn would still kind of fucking stomp that fight. Whoa, there's Cypher. Oh, so sorry, takes place way in the future. Walk through a Dragonborn. We have no way of knowing how the Dragon race has changed. That's fair. Yeah. So overall, I like the blog overall. Very, very complicated to go into. These are two complicated series. Oh, my nose is getting a little stuffed up there. Wow, rare G1 W. Overall, pretty solid G1 blog. I think it's actually one of the. I think it's a real solid blog. I was fun about that story. The Hiss are the Argonians flying in trees in space, and they are like the Borg. They turn you into Argonians. Of course, they fucking do. Overall, I think it's solid. I think this verdict is pretty solidly in favor of the Dragonborn. Basically, Bayonetta would get stomped by the Dragonborn. Dragonborn has better abilities. Yeah, so overall, great blog. Really glad Cyber came by to explain it, because that saved us a fuck ton of time. And yeah, so Assault Partner thinks the Ivory King is greater than the Chosen Undead. Good man, Cypher. Good man. But you guys want me? One of these days I'll do a Dark Souls scaling chain. I'll do a Dark Souls scaling tier list. Zenith of Greed. After I do my Fist of the North Star one, maybe I'll do a Dark Souls one. I'm a Dark Souls scaler. Yeah, no, fuck no. Some of this shit was fucking ridiculous. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. So I'm gonna end the stream here. You're saying Dragonborn can easily counter her Wicked Weaves? Yeah, her Wicked Weaves wouldn't be a problem. No, I don't think double standard is there. I don't think a double standard is there. Because the truth of the matter is not all the author statements, to be fair, and I think Cyber would agree with this one, not all of them are based on battle boarding, but quite a lot of those are battle boarding. Do you think G1 will say Cole over Alex? They absolutely will, and Kyle's going to have a fucking field day with that one. It's not double standard. No. I completely agree with Cyber here. There's a difference in those questions. 100%. Do I think they should have used author statements regardless? Absolutely, especially for the interview ones, because in an interview they said that you could literally walk to the Norse Pantheon. But the overall justification of it, what is battle boarding? Nozim, I'm a Dark Soul Scaler, Cypher Dark Soul Scaler, Mangler Neo, you're a peeker. Bro, I am such a Dark Soul Scaler, bro. Bro, I'm offended. Bro, I'm such a Dark Souls skiller. Holy shit, this is so unfair. Bro, I scale Dark Souls all the time, bro. Didn't you see my Dark Souls vids? I've been scaling it for years. Bro, I'm a Dark Souls skiller. Also, that's U-R-E, not fucking you're like that. Bruh. When your own chat doesn't believe you're a Dark Souls scaler. Alan chat, fake Dark Souls fan? Okay, so I'm gonna ask you guys a question. So I won't be able to get the other side video done until next week anyways. So I'm gonna end this video, but would you guys want me to come back in a bit to play something for like the usual 2 hours of streaming at night, or are you guys chill like fucking like calling it here for a stream today? Because I could come back, but like, all right, but you guys aren't gonna like the game I'm gonna be playing. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. All right, I'll see you guys in like I don't know, 20-30 minutes.